This is my Challenger versus Emerald series where I bring on a guest and we compare their game on a particular champion in high-elo versus an Emerald player. Today we're going to be covering Olaf and my guest will be Chippys. Chippys is a former professional player turned top lane coach, currently living in Korea playing on the SoloQ ladder there. He's always been a big fan of Olaf, played it a lot throughout his career. Let's get into the details. Okay, Chippys, let's start off with Olaf's build. Items, runes, skill order, how do we build this champion? So this is your OPGG here, over on Korean SoloQ, rocking a very nice 62% win rate. So the man knows what he's going to be talking about on this episode. So it looks like you adapt your builds quite a bit. We can just pick one of these. You want to pick one of these where you think he's a good one to start with. It's like, okay, someone's picking up Olaf. What do they need to know? What are some a key build?
So going to that one, 9011 versus Uda.
9011, this one here.
Yeah. So I'd say this is, on my eyes, the best Olaf build in SoloQ. You don't build it every game, of course, but if you can, this is the best SoloQ build. It's more of a drain tank build. So Rav Hydra plus Sundered Sky, and then either Death Stance or Spirit Visage third, depending on the game. Of course, if you need armor, you go Visage, and armor, you need to go Death Stance. MR, you need to go Visage. And it's more of a drain tank build. So that combined with Olaf's W and your passive lifesteal, you can pretty much just tank an entire team. Of course, it depends on the comp you're versing, but this is sort of the standard build for the most carry potential by far. And as for the runes with it, the runes don't change at all. I see some Olafs get a bit scared and take Resolve secondary, but if you don't have approach velocity, you're really trolling. The way people view approach velocity is typically wrong, where you hit a Q, you run people down, but approach velocity, you get movement speed when moving backwards as well, if you start to walk towards them and then turn back. So you can kind of use that to space people. So say, for example, versus Jax, you hit a Q, you run towards them, you click backwards, you still get the approach movement speed to space out as E, and then you can go back in again. So it's sort of a high skill cap rune as well, where if you just take Bone Plating versus Jax, it's okay, especially for the first trade, but you scale way worse and you have a lot less threat in lane. So the only thing you'd change out on the rune page is Presence of Mind for Triumph. Triumph scales way better, but Olaf's had his mana cost nerfed like 300 times. So without Presence, the lane is just really brutal. So personally, I'd only go Triumph if I'm versus like Tam or Gragas. I'm not really going to interact with them that much anyway. But any volatile matchup where you're fighting a lot, you should go Presence.
Okay, I've got a bunch of questions going back to the build here. So, a lot of top lanes like sort of switch in their matchup between like Doran's Blade and Doran's Shield. Is it a Doran's Blade health potion every single game, no matter what matchup?
Not every game, but you should try to do it every game. So you only go Shield if you absolutely have to, versus some really fun champs like Aurora or Nidalee Top, those types of champs. It's just unplayable without these shields, so only if you absolutely have to. Or if you're just learning Olaf and you verse maybe Gnar or Jace, those are matchups you can actually take Shield in, or Vladimir, Blade in, because they're not that strong early game. But only if you're still learning the champion. If you're quite experienced, you can get away with Blade even in those ones. It's just the really brutal ones, like the Nidalee Aurora type champs, that you need Shield.
Yeah, so it's the classic like range top laner, like, we need the D shield. Okay. So you really love the Ravenous. I do see some Stridebreakers here. Maybe is that just one game? Okay, there is a couple of Stridebreakers. Did you change your opinion on Stridebreaker? These were 2 weeks ago.
No. So Stride and Rav are both great. Rav is the best SoloQ build, but you can't build it every game. So especially in Korean SoloQ, there's a lot of OP champs running around that will outrange you. So you'll need Stridebreaker. So the soft rule is, in a range matchup, you can go Stridebreaker, and in a melee one, you can go Rav Hydra. But the comp matters as well. So if you verse 3 melee champions, you should always go Rav Hydra, I would say. Even if you verse a range top, if they've got like Vi, Silas, Nautilus, Rav Hydra is just too OP. So, and by the time you finish your item anyway, because you rush tier 2 boots, it's like 14 minutes. So it's not like Stridebreaker is helping you in lane, if you know what I mean. So even if you verse a hard matchup, it's mainly comp dependent. So 3 melees, you should always go Rav Hydra. Or 2 melees if it's melee top jungle. You can go Rav Hydra there as well.
So let's use this game as an example. So you're against a Mundo here. Graves in your mind is ranged. So 3 range, 2 melee equals Stridebreaker. Is that the formula?
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So Rav Hydra is way better into Mundo, but it sucks into that game. But to be honest, that game I was mid, but I would go Stridebreaker anyway, this game.
Yeah, okay. Let's maybe look at another example where you went Stridebreaker, so we can sort of do the equation again. This one here against Pantheon. Okay, Skarner, 2 melees, but...
So this one, I broke my rule a little bit
oh,
because I got behind early game. You see the late bloomer there. So if you're
yeah.
behind early game, you don't really want Rev Hydra. Rev Hydra is pretty snowball heavy because it gives no defensive stats, right? It's more of a drain tank build. But if you're behind, you're just going to get one shot anyway. You're not going to out sustain anything. Oh no, I actually rushed Death Stance this game. So that was cooking. That was experimenting.
You're cooking here. Okay, let's find a
It's
better one then.
the verdict on that one, it was terrible. Let's see. This would yeah, this one here. So Jax, Rev Hydra feels a little bit better, but you see range, jungle, mid, 80 carry, so you just need Stridebreaker. So don't just tunnel on your matchup, merely Rev Hydra, range, Stridebreaker. It's mainly around the team comp as well.
That makes sense. So you said that most of the time you're rushing tier 2 boots. So this doesn't really look like a rush. I mean, do you go tier mat first, then Steel Caps? I saw another game, you went CDR boots first, like the Lucidity boots, or the ability haste. So what's the thought process here?
Yep, so if you can one-shot boots, they're really good. So you see there, I couldn't one-shot boots, so I went double longsword. And then I went cooldown boots on the next recall. Same with the tier 2, the tabbies from the previous one you showed. I went 2 swords, based again, only had like 500, so I went tier mat, and then tabbies on the next recall. So you want a one-shot boot. You don't want to be limping back to lane with boots cloth or something like that. You want to try to one-swoop them. And the stance on tabbies versus haste boots, there's a soft rule as well, because Olaf is one of the best haste champions in the game, because you get flight reduction from Q and E. So, of course, the lower cooldown your Q and E is, you get way more Q and E's per minute than another champ, right? Because you get reduction on them. So haste is really important. But with Rev Hydra, you already get haste. So with Rev Hydra, I'll pretty much always go tabbies, unless there's like no auto-attacking. And with Stridebreaker, I always try to go cooldown boots, unless it's just too good of a tabbies game. So if I was building Stridebreaker, but it was like Nah top, Graves jungle, I'd just go tabbies, right? It's way too good to skip it. But a big benefit to cooldown boots as well is their price. So some games I might want tabbies, but I can afford cooldown boots in one go. So I'll
because
do
you
that
like
instead.
the one shot. The one shot's just so valuable. Your first base. Okay, so your first base is really important in terms of your decision making for those tier boots. Okay.
Yeah, so that example that you just opened, I think the is versus Pantheon. So that's like that's like the go-to if you can. But the thing about Olaf, because your mana is so trash, it's pretty hard to get 1200 in one swoop. So you are just getting like 1 sword refill or 2 swords a lot. And then your second recall should always be aiming to get tabbies, because level 5, you're really strong. So you can kind of stay in lane for a long time and get to tabbies most of the time. Or cooldown boots.
I'm trying to do sort of like a percentage in my mind here. It's like, what is the, just practically like the way that your games are playing out, Steel Caps versus ability haste. It looks like Steel Caps is like 60-70% of games, and then like the ability haste looks like 30% maybe. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say 60-40, 70-30 sounds fair. It's the two main variables is like, if it's a great tabbies game, you should always do it. So that's a good example there, 4 and 3. That's a pretty shit tabbies game. So even though I don't like cooldown boots with Rev Hydra, I could afford cooldown boots on my first recall that game. You can see there I got it at 4 minutes really early. I couldn't afford tabbies then. So in that case, I made an exception, right? So how much gold you're basing with is a pretty big variable as well, because both the boots are so good on Olaf. But one thing I do want to touch on, because some of our students have been building like Swifties and stuff, those are the only 2 boot options you have. There's no point building Swifties because approach velocity and ghost is enough. And the slow resist doesn't work at all on Swifties anyway, because you got your ulti. So it's just a waste of gold. So cooldown boots or tabbies every game. Prioritize tabbies if you're ever unsure. But if you can just one-shot cooldown boots in one recall and it's not an amazing tabbies game, you can feel free.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to your, this is the build that you said, this is like the god tier build. This is what your best case scenario is for you. Is there anything people watching need to know in terms of the specific build path? You've already touched on, this game looks like you could never one-shot boots. Actually, you sort of like broke the rule here, but I guess you had nothing else.
650. Right? That was a 650 gold recall.
650 gold. Okay, so but this is really rare. You never I never saw boots, tier 1 boots in your inventory. So
I'm not aiming for that. Yeah, exactly.
You're not aiming for it. Yeah, it's like worst case scenario. If it's like nothing. You're like, you only have 350 gold, as you said. So anything that needs to know in terms of building components, like Tunneler versus Sundered Sky, or is it literally just build sort of whatever you feel like?
Yep. So for Sundered Sky, you do the cooldown hammer first with Stride and Tunneler first with Rev Hydra. That's all the formula, because Stride doesn't give haste, so you want a bit of haste ASAP. But the Sundered Sky is only into melee comps. If I verse like Teemo Graves, I'm not going to go Sundered Sky. I would go Stridebreaker and then like Death Stance, or Stridebreaker then Visage or something like that, right? Depending on the game. And for the defensive item, you should pretty much never go Sterax, It's a bit of a bait because you're paying some money for tenacity as well. So you can probably get the idea. I hate buying tenacity or slow resist on this champ because it's
Hmm.
you press R and you're losing gold pretty much, right? So the Sterex replacement, if you want just flat HP and damage, is Blood Mail. That item's really good, like late game, 4 or 5 items, but career doesn't really go past 30 minutes, so you don't see it very often. Just my most recent game has one. But that's sort of your Sterex replacement. More is a bit of just a bad item. The only time I like more instead of Visage is as like a first item rush, and that's if I'm versus like Rumble or something really broken that's just gonna one
You're
shot
against
me.
Gwen this game.
Gwen, that's another one too. So yeah, I went more and then Visage, so didn't want to get one shot by her. So you can see into like Gwen, into Rumble, you can go more rush. But other than that, if you're not rushing more, go Visage as your MR item because it's just too efficient, especially with Rev Hydra and Sundered Sky, or just one of them. It's really, really efficient MR item.
Okay, that all makes sense. Wait,
Perfect.
Spear of Sojourn here. What's the idea on Spear of Sojourn? This is sort of just
It's a
the way
bit
you
of
finish
fun.
your build.
Like yeah, you
Just a
can
bit of
see
fun.
like
Okay.
like
Yeah,
one
you're
long
popping off
sword
this game.
into
You said
Shojin,
fine.
like
Yeah,
15
okay.
kills. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you explained the runes here. The last one's here, always double offensive. You don't need attack speed here, double
No.
adaptive.
Oh, that's more of a spellcaster by getting multiple rotations of Q and E, so it's better to
And
flat
it sounds like
AD.
you're kiting as well. Like you're going
Yeah,
in and out, like it seems. Okay, so I'm starting to understand the champ identity a bit more here. And it's going to be interesting when we see the clips. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
And flat health versus scaling health, always flat health.
If you play on career server, always flat health. But the general rule is like if the matchup looks volatile, so if you're versus Darius, Jax, Fiora, go flat HP. If you're versus like Kale or like Cassante or something, you can go scaling and just sort of scale up.
And skill order, is this what it's looking like every game? Do you switch up your skill order at all? Looks like Q first into W into E, max Q, E second, W third.
W if they can fight you back, E if they can't fight you back is the rule for level 2. But always Q first level 1 for sure. Some people do max E into matchups like Jax, but I'm not a fan because versus Jax you can't auto attack him to reduce your E cooldown, so you're only getting 1. Where with Q you can maybe get like 3 or 2 to 4 rotations of Q off in a fight, and with E max you have no wave clear anyway, so it's hard to get yourself recall. So I'm not a fan of the E max. So Q max always, but then yeah, W or E depends if they can fight you back or not level 2.
But then always E, though.
Yeah, E
Even after the
second.
W. Okay, always E
Yeah,
second. Okay,
always,
W
always.
last. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds like, once again, back and forth kiting. We're not sitting there just auto-attacking people to death, which I guess it's intuitive. Like, people are like, wait, I want W, Chippys. I want to, like, smack people,
Yeah.
right? Like, but that's just not how games actually play out. You know, people run away from Olaf. You just get kited, especially with no ults.
Yeah, but there's champs like Renekton and Darius that are they're not gonna run away. They're gonna hit you back. You go W level 2 because you're doing more damage and shielding as well, right? But if you're versus like, I mean, Kale's an easy one, maybe like a Poppy, and you hit a Q, you run at her level 2, she's just gonna run away. So you just hit her on the head with an E and then click backwards. Because the
This
thing
one
about
was in
Olaf's
Bessa. Was
and
this in
Bessa,
Bessa? No, is this... I don't know. Who was the top lane of this
oh,
game? I don't even know.
I was AD carry.
Oh, you are? Okay, that's interesting.
Another thing
time
about
I pick
Olaf,
it, you're
every
like top
role.
lane. Yeah.
Another thing about Olaf, just play it anyway. It doesn't matter.
Where was it? This Renekton here. You went W because he's going to fight back, right?
Exactly. So one thing I want to touch on with
Okay.
the W is the base shield is actually 10. It's useless if you're high HP. It gives you shield based on missing HP, right? Capping at 30%. So level 2, if you're winning your matchup, you're going to be full HP. So it's pretty much just an auto reset and like a 10 shield. So it's not worth it unless they're actually fighting you back.
Okay. Let's now look here, Chippys, at the general community, the stats.
Okay.
Do they agree? Does the community agree with Chippys Olaf? This is what
Let's
we're going to
see.
see here. Okay.
Ooh.
So we're seeing the first item, 64% of people are just going Stridebreaker. Very little going Ravenous. We did that rule of thumb that you did there. You'll go way more Ravenous than Stridebreaker most of the time, right? So obviously, you disagree with probably this most times. Interestingly, the win rate is higher for Ravenous, but there isn't that much sample size here, I guess, for the Ravenous. So maybe it's a little bit distorted. Yep, so I guess those just two items, people sort of understand those two. This is the Swifties that you're talking about, Chippys. Where,
there it is.
Look at that. There's still
disagree.
14% of people buying, the Swifties. You're just either that. And look at the ability haste boots. Really low. People will literally build Merc Treads and Swifties over the ability haste.
All right.
So what do you think the thought process is there? Why are they doing that?
I think people just hate getting kited. Olaf has no mobility, right? No gap closer. So they go Swifties to try and make up for that. But if you're got good Q accuracy, use approach velocity, use Ghost Swell, you're going to be chilling. And that's the thing about haste boots as well. It doesn't just give you way more DPS from Q and E juggling. your Ghost and Flash is up more often. And everyone knows champs like Olaf, champs like Darius. If you have Ghost and Flash in a team fight, you're Thanos. If you don't, you're kind of a shit stain, right? Walking towards people. So hate spirits are very underrated. But I would say, yeah, tabbies are definitely the top dog.
What I'm sort of hearing here, Chip, is that your Olaf does like 10 times more damage than the general Olaf player. Like it's actually making sense to me now. I know it plays this champ, and there's just, you know, it's very little pick rate because people, as you said, they get kited and they're doing no damage. They're like, why would I play this champion? But you're like, you know, maybe getting kited, but like when you are not getting kited, you're doing way more damage. Like you're solving your problems by doing insane amounts of damage. Right, that's like you're sort of fighting your way out of situations in a way. But a lot of people can't; they just die. They don't have the damage. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm sort of hearing here with the, you know, your opinion with Olaf versus, you know, the misguided what the, you know, the general community is doing.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like everyone's really afraid to get kited, but that's also team fighting is a really hard skill, right? You've probably seen it, probably 95, 99% of players. As soon as they smell a team fight, they blow everything, they boost it on in. But Olaf, you have to be kind of waiting, picking your moment to go in because you're not engaged, right? You don't have any CC or gap closer. So you kind of have to be sniffing out your moment to go in, or even baiting people to engage onto you and blow CC onto you is another skill as well. Like kind of just on that edge of the fight, being annoying, like sniffing around, trying to make them go on you. But if you just pop Ghost, run down people, of course, if you know, you'd want to have Stridebreaker and Swifty Boots because that's, you know, it's going to try fix the problem that you're doing.
And look at even here, again here, Chippies. Look at this. Sterax on second. People building this, 5% of people building this second, and then Sterax, and then Sterax, and then Sterax. People are like obsessed with this item, but you're saying that you shouldn't be, you don't need the tenacity because you have your ult, and you're just off-putting so much damage. You just hate Sterax. It doesn't make sense with you. You basically use champ identity.
Well, from my point of view, it's not just wasting money on tenacity. It's like Sterax has just been nerfed so many times.
A million times.
That now, other items like Sterax and more have just been nerfed a lot, to the point where other items feel better. Another item I want to touch on there is Overlord's Bloodmail got buffed as well. So it's another reason why that feels better. And Olaf, you get your shield when you're 30% HP, right? The massive W shield. So imagine you have that shield with like Rav Hydra, Sundered Sky, and you're getting all that bonus AD from Bloodmail. It's just really OP. With the Sterax shield, it's like, it is okay. It's not a horrible item. I just think that there's never a situation where it's better than another item. And another one to touch on there that a lot of people ask about is the Hextech Ultra Hexplate thing, whatever that does.
Yeah, Hexplate, experimental Hexplate, yeah.
Same reasoning as Swifties. You don't need that. Just play the team fights a little bit better. This is kind of an item where compare this item to how it feels to have like a Death Stance or something like that, right? Way more survivability. You're going to input a lot more damage, where 15% movement speed and like attack speed doesn't really matter that much. It's not really enough of a difference maker to pick that item over like Death Stance or Visage if they have a bunch of AP, and just have way more survivability, and then just, you know, improve on picking your moment to go in instead of relying on that little crumb of extra movement speed.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like most people do go Death Stance third item, which you agree with. I mean, 80%, you know, I mean, people are building lots of different items here, but most people are going Death Stance, so that's fine. And Spirit Visage is very not really built here. What do they feel like they need armor, or, but again, you have the steel cap, so I guess you don't really need, is that the idea why Spirit Visage, you don't really need armor? Like if you, let's say if you're against a heavy, if you're against a heavy AD team, I assume you're not building Spirit Visage.
Yep, but keep in mind as well, people are building Stridebreaker, right? So Visage is not as efficient. So with Rav Hydra, the efficiency goes up, right? And with Sundered Sky as well, and even if you have an enchanter on your team, and people just like doing damage as well, so I think they're just gravitating towards damage items. But Olaf has really good base damage. By the time you have 3 items, he's going to be doing around 400 true damage, and you can just, the cooldown's so low by that point, you can just keep getting rotations of E off, so that's going to be the brunt of your damage. You don't really need, I also see like Triforce and Bork and stuff like that, you don't really need to build damage items. You just want more so survivability. But of course, a mix is good, right? Like Death Stance is survivability and damage. But for Visage, it's like, as your 3rd or 4th item, you're going to be doing enough damage at that point. You just need to survive. Because then the mid lane has got 3-4 items. You're just going to get one shot if you don't have that.
Yeah, so it's not even really about the AD champs. It's just, this is just such a good synergy with Ravenous Hydra and your W and that sort of stuff. It just makes sense to go for Spirit Visage.
Yeah, but of course, if they have like solo EP Lux mid who's 0-4 with Seras, you know, don't build it. Of course, they have to have magic damage that calls out to it. Don't just build it.
And most games will have that. Most games will have that, right? At least one, you know, someone else, you know, doing AP damage, right? Very rare full AD. And like, to be honest, you know, Death Stance gives you armor as well. 50 armor is a lot, you know. Plus that, you know, you got plenty of armor here. So yeah, it makes sense. I can see it. This looks like a very beautiful build. Ravenous, Still Cap, Sundered Sky, Death Dance, Spear Visage. I think that sounds like the beginner. If you're learning Olaf, learn how to play with this build first. Is that what you'd recommend?
Definitely, yeah. And you can swap Visage and Death Stance around depending on the game, right? Because of course you already have quite a bit of armor from base armor and tabbies. So it just really depends on like, oh, their mid jungle AP, they're doing quite a bit of damage. I'll go Visage. Or like the example before, maybe it's solo AP Karthus. He's 0-5, doesn't know how to full clear properly. Then you can just skip MR in that case and get it 4th item.
Before we jump into the practice tool quickly, I noticed your summoner spells. Do you want to talk about this? So you recently you're just going Flash Ghost. Sometimes you got TP. You've got an Ignite game here.
Yeah.
What's the idea? You got another Ignite game?
Yep.
Exhaust.
So Olaf, you can be a bit creative with spells. I would say Ghost Flash is your default. So if you're learning the champion, just go Ghost Flash and don't think about it too much. The rule for TP is into just meatball neutralizers like a Mundo or a Gragas or something like that. It's better just to play more so for like tempo and proxying and TPing onto the map, maybe TPing into a Dragon Fighter 11 minutes with your item, something like that, instead of just trying to beat up a Scion or a Mundo all day, right? So spreading your lead around the map is better there. But I've found, let's say you verse Mbessa, matchup's quite hard. If you take TP, it's kind of the good defense is a good offense kind of mentality. Without Ghost and Flash, you're not scary enough that she has to respect you. She can just beat you up and poke you down, and then you can't play the game, even though you might be able to back and TP once or twice. So you need the threat of Ghost Flash. If you make a mistake, I'm going to run you down, and that allows you to get your recalls off. So even though you don't have TP, you're so threatening you can base. So I would almost never recommend TP into a volatile, scary matchup. You need combat sums, and I'll touch on Ignite and Exhaust as well. So the 2 Ignite matchups are Darius and Renekton, because those champions, you have to fight them. There's just no farming. There's just no running them down. If Renekton takes Ignite and you don't, even if you have Ghost Flash, he'll just stand there and kill you. So it's really unplayable. That's why I take Ignite, just in case they do. And if they take TP, it's quite easy. If they take Ignite, it gets really exciting. But Darius, I've just found with Ignite, you can get prior. You can kill him level 1 if he tries to fight you back. Where with Ghost, he'll kill you level 1, and then he gets prior, and then he has control of the wave. So Ignite kind of gives you that stand your ground kind of mindset. And for Exhaust, can you scroll down to it, actually? Give me a refresher.
Jax.
I was just testing it into Jax because Ghost doesn't feel good into him. And I used to go Barrier into those types of matchups, but Barrier did get a nerf. So Exhaust felt okay into him. Oh, open up that build as well. That's an interesting one. I think, was that Frozen Heart Rush? No, never mind. Sometimes I've experimented with Frozen Heart first item. That's only in ridiculous games like Tryndamere and Graves Top Jungle, something like that. But second item, it's a really good item because it's so cheap. So with Stridebreaker,
and does it help your mana problems as well? Is that the idea? Okay.
Kind of, but by then your lane is done and you have Tiamat, so it's not the end of the world. But yeah, Stridebreaker, you have enough HP to build a full armor item like Death Stance second or Frozen Heart second because it's way cheaper. And of course, like haste, everything you really need on that item. So there you see that an 80 carry mid and Jax top. So they have 3 auto attacking champions. So that's when you'd go Frozen Heart over Death Stance.
And this is, again, fits your category for Stridebreaker, 3 range champions plus Frozen Heart. Yeah, this looks awesome. This is a very good. I love the adaptation with this build here, Chippys. That's awesome.
And they had Callista as well, so Exhaust just made a bit more sense to me in that game. And it did feel good, but I wouldn't just be like, oh, it's Jax. I go Exhaust every time. Yeah. Gotta have to look around. Mainly just go Ghost Flash.
I mean, literally, that's like the one Exhaust game in like every other game, right?
Exactly.
So So your basic recommendation: Flash Ghost, picking up the champion. That's good, and then TP against those really sleeper lanes,
Meatballs,
like as you said, meatballs like Mundo here and
the Scion. Yeah, and then Ignite into Renekton Darius. Those are the 2. But you should get more experience with it. Maybe get 30, 40 Olaf games in before you take Ignite, because playing without Ghost is like a different mindset. So a good example, the game I took Ignite there, you see they've got Nautilus, Galio, and Renekton. So even though I don't have Ghost, they have 3 champions that are coming to me. So I don't really need it as much. I don't need their mobility because they're going to come to me anyway. They're going to do the hard job for me. So there I don't need Ghost as much.
Okay, great advice. Let's jump into the practice tool now, Chippys.
All right. So for Olaf's abilities, to be honest, there's not much tips and tricks. There are a couple of things I see that are common mistakes. The most important by far is where you put your axe. So let's say there's a team fight, right? These are the enemy champs, and this guy runs at you, and you chuck your axe like this. You've already made a big mistake. because now you have to run all the way through here and like tank their abilities to pick up your axe. So you want to be always trying to do mini axes like this so that you can grab it if you need to. Because if you think about it in terms of mistakes, let's say you underthrow it and you miss it slightly, that's fine because you can just pick it up as you're running at them. Yeah, but if you overthrow it, it's really uncomfortable to go and get it. So it's always better to kind of underthrow it. Of course, if you hit it, that's ideal, but make sure you're not overthrowing your axe. Your mouse movement, your mouse placement has to be pretty precise so that you're just skimming through them. And then when you're fighting, you can grab it and you can just, use it if you have to, because Olaf's axes is really efficient damage. Because of course, every time you pick it up, you get it back pretty much late game when you have CDR. You always get it back up. So you can just get many rotations of Qs off. Compared to a normal champion like Jaxi, you're probably getting 1 E off, right? Olaf Q, you can get like 4 or 5 off in a fight. And late game, if you just get like a collat and hit 3 people, of course, it'll do quite a lot of damage. So yeah, making
so
sure
at a high level, it's just Axe just has so many, it's very efficient to use. It goes slow, so you're going to be able to be people more sticky on people, right? And you can like pick it up, and obviously it's a huge part of your damage, right? So
yeah, and armor pin too as well. So you always make sure you're hitting it. Now,
so if you miss axes, don't expect to win games. Like you can't pick up your axe. You're just not going to win fights.
Yeah, if you're in a fight like this and your axe goes over here, you're just screwed. You're just going to get hit by everything. So, and it also the threat of the axe, the threat of them being slowed, it makes it harder for them just to pile you. Now, the other thing is E. So every time you auto attack, you can see it goes down to 1 second. So you always want to make sure you're kind of using your E as fast as possible, but you don't want to cancel your auto attack damage with it. So you can be quite fluid with it with auto E. But if you E too fast, you'll cancel your auto like that. So you have to auto E quite smoothly. And auto WE also feels good. But it's kind of nice to do your auto W when your E's on cooldown, because your W is an auto attack reset. So if you auto attack reset, auto into reset, 2 seconds off your E. And late game when your E cooldown's quite low, it matters a lot. Right? You can see just 7 seconds, that's without any haste. So you'll be getting a lot of E's down, and that's going to be the brunt of your damage late game. Because this will be about 400 around level 13. And you can imagine if you get 400 true damage hits onto somebody, it just nukes them. So make sure you're not leaving this on cooldown and like holding it for anything. You can just pretty much use it whenever it's up. Just don't cancel an auto attack with it.
What about your R ability? What do people need to know about R? So does R make you squishier? Is that what it does? But it makes you invulnerable to CC, obviously. So,
no, you just get damage
from it.
You gain
10 armor. So you gain... Oh, that's passive.
So it used to drop the resist off you, but now it doesn't. Now you just get damage.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember it used to. Okay.
Yeah. So when you ulti, it only lasts 2.5 seconds, right? So you have to auto attack or E somebody to get it down. Keep it, refresh the cooldown, but make sure you're prioritizing Eing if you can, because the E range is longer than an auto. So you can see here with E, it's a bit, I have to walk forward for the auto attack there. So if your ult's about to drop off, you have to be really on top of it. A tip for the ulti is your ulti and your Q have to kind of be friends. So it's really bad to ult, run at somebody, and then try to hit a Q. Because then if they dodge it and you can't keep it up, you're just useless, right? So you hit your Q, and then you can pop kind of Ghost and ulti.
I see. Makes a lot of sense, because you need to slow to get at them. So in terms of keeping your R up, is it just your E? Is that
and auto attack. And auto attack.
And auto attacks, okay.
Yeah, so you always have to be hitting something. So yeah, the way I like to explain Q and R is it's like you want to be going fishing. Your Q is your fishing hook. If you miss your fish, you're not going to jump into the water anyway, right? You have to hit the fish before you commit. So if you hit someone, then you can commit your spells onto them. Of course, in a team fight, if your Nautilus hard engages someone, you can just run at them. It's easy. But I pretty much always recommend if it's like a small skirmish or a 1v1, you hit your Q before ulting. Unless, they jump onto you and make it easy.
So how do you use Flash with your kit?
Flash, it's just kind of flashing onto somebody. So let's say I'm fighting this guy. It's like a Vi that went in, and I hit a Q onto their backline. You can just like flash and pop Stridebreaker and then just beat them up and just keep queuing them. There's no like special thing to it, I'd say.
Same sort of principle. You have to sort of queue and then flash in because that's slow. So it's about hitting that slow, then you pull that trigger. If you don't hit that slow, you're probably not going to R or flash in.
Yep, perfect. Unless someone else does your job for you, like the Alistair combos back, then you can just flash and follow them up straight away. But yeah, if you're fighting frontline and you get a collat with your Q, you can flash onto the backline with it as well and auto pick it up. You auto pick up your Q, you got your ulti going, and then you can just, beat up the AD carry. Because even if they flash somewhere, like here, you're just chilling, right? With Ghost and stuff especially. It doesn't matter because they're already slowed from the Q. But if they like flash and like boost away with, regular movement speed or a movement speed boost, you can't stick onto them. So it's pretty recommended to hit your Q first.
And Ghost, how do people use Ghost? How do you ideally use Ghost with your kit?
Ghost is
when
similar.
You want to time it.
Yeah, similar to the ulti. If you hit your Q, it's really nice to pop Ghost because you never want to be in a situation where you Ghost and they just Ezreal E or flash over the wall and it's like, now you don't have Ghost because your champion without Ghost is way less useful than like someone with no flash. Of course, it depends on the champ, but it's recommended, yeah, to hit your Q before you ghost, unless they're super out of position. Like if you're walking here and you see somebody here, of course, like you can ghost, they've got nowhere to go. You can just pop Stridebreaker onto them and then hit your Q type of thing. So that makes it a bit easier. So I'll grab Stridebreaker. So if you ghost and engage with Stridebreaker, it makes it a bit easier to hit your Q, right? But they have to be fully out of position. You don't want to do that if they're like, of course, about to hop a wall or something.
So do you value your ghost more than your flash? Is that more important for your champion because of your ults? Or would you just say that's sort of a bad question? It's just situational.
Situational, yeah, I'd say. If I did pick, yeah, it actually depends on the comp, which one I'd value more. But yeah, I'd say they're pretty similar value, but some comps ghost will be better if they have a bunch of range champs.
And last question here is from your experience coaching people, Chippys, what are the common mistakes where people stuff up with their kit, or have you sort of covered all that stuff? Like people just rush, run out for people and, miss their cues, or is there anything else that you see people make really bad mistakes with? Maybe even trading in lane?
So the number one is overthrowing X. That applies for lane as well. So let's say you queue like this, and then this Jax jumps on your head. You are screwed. You're going to get annihilated, right? So that's number one. It also applies, let's say you queue for poke or for farm. Then you have to respect the Ambessa, the Darius, whatever. Your Q is your defensive and your offensive tool. That's the best way to look at it for lane. Because if they jump onto you and you can just keep juggling Qs onto them, like whenever you want, you can fight them back. But if your Q is over in space here, they're just going to annihilate you if they're playing a strong champ, right? So making sure if you're doing a long queue for poke or farm, you are playing different. In Korean solo queue, if you chuck your Q, it pretty much doesn't matter what champ you're visiting, they just sprint at you. They really want to force onto you because they know without the Q, you can't fight them back. So you have to play quite differently when that's down. And for team fighting, other than overthrowing the Q, it's just going too early. Your champs are not engaged. Of course, you can get the superhero moment where you flash in 4-man Stridebreaker and just kill everything if you have 10 kills. But in a normal game or a slightly losing game, you're not the engage. Wait for your Jarvan to go in and die. Wait for them to engage on your Jinx and Killer. And then you can go in when they've used a bunch of their burst.
All right, great stuff. Let's now jump into your high-elo Korean solo queue game, Chippys, and see this Olaf in action. If you're enjoying this video on how to play Olaf and you want more ranked improvement content, we have our free school community. Inside there, you'll find a climbing masterclass, champion pool advice, as well as tier lists. And if you really want to speed up the rate of your improvement, we have our We Teach League Academy programs for all 5 roles. Both of those links will be in the description below. Let's get back to Chippys and Olaf. Okay, so Chippys, before we jump into your gameplay, a couple of sort of high-level general questions and your opinion on Olaf. So, where does Olaf sort of sit in the meta right now for top lane? We don't see many Olaf players. There's not many. You have said that you're starting to convert a couple in the top lane academy, but where does he sit right now compared to maybe previous metas or when he was strong at, many years back?
Yep. So the way I see Olaf right now is he's kind of one of these game-breaking counter picks, where if you pick him in the right comp, it's pretty much unlosable, unless your team's AFK or something. So this game's a pretty good example of it, if we can skip to where I press tab at the start. So this game, I would say, is really hard to lose if I play well, because they've got low damage, high CC comp. That's Olaf's dream. The more CC and the less damage they have, the better. So champs like Varus, champs like Ashe, they're mainly CC. They're mainly utility. Champs like Talon mid, they don't really do damage to me, right? Especially if I have Death Stance, where compared to a champ like Hui or a champ like Mel, who will just kind of one-shot me, it's quite difficult. And then Diana and Udyr and Pantheon, 3 melee champs that have to run towards me, so I can just drain tank all that damage. So this is like of course mid could be better, maybe if it's like Lux or something, but this is a full CC, low damage comp. So this is a really good game for Olaf, where if I blind picked Olaf and I versed an Aurora top, and they've got like Lilia and Graves and the range support, your champ feels quite useless. So he's in the meta. I would say S tier counterpick, maybe B tier as like a main champ.
So that's interesting because people's perception of Olaf, Chip, is to chase. You're going approach velocity, you throw Q, you chase at them, you R them. But you're saying that's actually not your strength to chase people. You can do it, but the way you win games is by low damage people coming into you. You want people coming into you, and I guess hard to escape you once you're on them.
Yep, that's what makes the drain tank build so OP. The Rev Hydra, you'll see it in this game. You can just tank their damage if they're coming into you. Where if I tried to run at that range comp I just described, I wouldn't be able to do anything, which is why I have to go Stridebreaker, or I have to go, other items just to be able to get onto them. And then it's like I just reach them, they use their mobility spells, they flash. It makes your job a lot harder. So versing, it doesn't have to be melee champs that come towards you. It has to be low mobility. So Varus is a good example. He's not coming towards me, but he doesn't have mobility compared to like a Kai'Sa or a Zeri. That's really hard for me to hit. So champs that are easy to hit. So that's melee champs or champs without mobility, like Xerath mid or like Varus or Ashe from AD carry, Jhin. Those champs are quite easy for you.
So at a high level, I mean, I guess you sort of really answered the question about the strengths and weaknesses, which sort of ties into the champ identity. Like, how do you win games with Olaf? Like, what would you say like your champ identity is if you could have put it into a sentence or two?
Yep, so Olaf is kind of a champ where you want to be that bus driver and fighting every objective you can. It's pretty rare you want to win through breaking tier 2s and eating all the camps on the map. Now, with Rav Hydra, you can eat camps more often when you have free time, but you should pretty much never be missing out on a dragon fight, an Artican fight, Herald, anything like that. You want to fight everything you can. The only times I would give that is if it's going to be losing. Like my bot lane got caught before the fight or something, and you just have to. In that case, I won't join, but your goal should be you get the side wave pushed out, you rock up to this dragon fight with your 1 to 2 item spike, and you just run everything over. Because during 1 to 2 items, like I said, you like low damage and high CC. But 1 to 2 items, all the mid and AD carry champs in the game are all terrible with running around with their collectors and their lost chapters and stuff. They just can't kill you. But later on, when they have 3-4 items, you get one shot pretty quickly. So you want to make a lot of work done during that 1 to 2 item spike while you're Thanos. You want to get a lot of work done. And then later on in the game, you'll still have to fight everything, but you're not as strong of a champ because they have a lot of burst.
So yeah, so we're not split pushing, getting tier 2 towers, tier 3 like a Yorick or whatever it is. You're looking for team fighting, pushing in waves, obviously not just completely just leaving waves. Is that, we just have like sort of similar to like a champ like Aatrox? That's sort of like an Aatrox thing as well.
Can we pause real quick? So one thing you'll notice, I warded the enemy red. I don't typically do this, but because I'm Olaf and I'm versus Diana, Diana's a champion that's quite easy to get invaded and ran through compared to maybe like a Pantheon jungle or a Lee Sin. So I was just double checking. If you start red, I'm just going to run you down level 1. This is quite a good Olaf strat. If you verse like Kayn or Diana or Hecarim, any jungler that's kind of useless level 1, you can run them down. That's why I wanted red here. It wasn't for vision or anything like that. It was if you start there,
you're literally to kill. You're literally there to kill. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So let's talk about the level 1, like what your mindset is level 1. And we'll do the separate thing in terms of like comp and matchup and that sort of stuff. But I mean, we sort of already have talked about it. So where do you walk level 1 as Olaf? What are you doing?
Yep. So you just take the dot bush on blue side and the tri bush on red side. Yep. So
wait. So the dot bush on blue side. So we're going to go to that here. So this one you're talking about in the river. This one.
I was a little bit late, so maybe I won't check it. That's because I'm a little bit late. That's why I'm a bit scared. But dot bush on blue side and the tri bush right there on red side. You just stand there.
So you just walk here and you just stand there, just guard. You're basically just guarding your team's jungle.
Yeah, and then at like 120, you can invade because if you go at 120, the jungler's already going to be ready for his meal, for his camp. So he's probably not going to be sitting there later on.
So at 120 is the time where you go walk in and you do the ward. That's the timer.
Yeah, it might be a little bit later, just like you're between 120, 124. I just want to catch her with her pants down on the red buff, ideally, and then she, getting choked by the red.
6, 7, so about
so about
120 to 28 because the camp stalls at 130. Okay.
Yeah, because now she'll be, like 4/5 HP if she started it, and then I can just run her down easily without any risk of her actually finishing the red.
So you don't care about being late to lane. You think it's more valuable to stuff up the jungler's path than than to actually be in lane.
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, I'd say for Olaf, yeah. Because if let's say I do that and I lose like 4 minions, but the jungler's game's ruined, that's way more impactful than maybe getting a good trade onto Udyr top or something. It might be matchup specific. Maybe if I verse like Ignite Riven or something, I wouldn't be so free to sacrifice. But verse easier meatball-y matchups like Udyr, K'Sante, or champs that don't carry the game if you give them a kill. If you get behind, I'm more okay to self-sacrifice to attack jungle.
Would that be the same as like a Redect and Darius?
Yeah, I'd probably start in lane versus those champs for sure. No matter what the jungle is.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so early lane reference points. Obviously top is very sort of matchup dependent. Maybe you want to talk at a high level, or you just want to get Udyr specific, whatever you think's more useful for our listeners.
So the big thing,
to do here in lane?
Conqueror versus Grasp, long trades versus short trades. So you can see right now, that's what I'm looking for. So if we go back a little bit, we'll get our dopamine soon. So he wants short trades, I want long trades. So I take one trade here to bait his ulti, bait Awaken. That's why I chucked a long Q and just run away, because I don't want to fight him in the Phoenix thing. Just kite that out. And then on my next Q, I want to get a long trade onto him. So now he's got no ulti, and my champion's Conqueror, and it's Olaf. You can see how many Qs I'm going to get off, probably 3 or 4 in this 1v1. One of the only champs that can do that with their cooldowns. So you want long trades on Olaf. You don't want to use your Q for poke or for short trades or anything like that. You want extended trades only in the early game. Your Q can be a poking tool at like level 5, but before that, it's not worth the mana. You only use it for a long
Yeah, I
trade
see.
or for
Okay.
disengage. So my first Q, sorry to make you go back again. I used
Yeah,
it
no, it's fine. We
not
can keep
not
going
to
back.
I used it not to do 50 damage to him or something. I used it for approach velocity. I'll go back again to the very first Q. I used it purely for approach velocity because if I face him with Q and click backwards, I can kite him out with the approach movement speed.
Ah, that's the
Yeah,
approach velocity. So you're
yeah,
kiting. I see. You want to
mm,
kite his R. I see. Okay.
yeah. And
So yeah,
then
so yeah, I could see a lot of people doing poke Q. So your
yeah,
only
exactly.
mindset is to literally Q in if I can get the extended trade. Otherwise, I'm auto attacking minions. That's
Yeah,
your
exactly.
principle.
And Olaf, you don't care that
Okay.
much about being low. You just keep bashing the wave down and life stealing. You've got to really abuse your passive and deep blade together. Just keep whacking the wave and then use your Q for extended trades early game, just like that.
Fascinating. Okay. So this is obvious. You know, you get a solo kill, push in the
Mm.
wave, recall, spend gold. Is
Yep.
that what you're doing here?
This is a big reason why I like Presence of Mind. If I didn't have Presence, it'd be really hard for me to get this wave in. I'd be
Ah, great point. I
And
like it.
that'll happen a lot if you play Olaf, you have Triumph. Even though it scales better 14 minutes onwards, you'll get a kill or you'll just be in lane and it just feels terrible. That's like solo killing your opponent and not being able to crash the wave feels so bad. That's so I always go back to Presence, even though I experiment with Triumph a little bit in these matchups where I know I'm going to be fighting a lot.
So obviously the rule of thumb, you don't buy tier 1 boots, you want to get tier 2 rush if you can. You didn't have the gold, so we're just getting longsword and refill. Do you like to build real refill potion a lot on this champ, or is that just because the buy?
Yeah, just the buy. I mean, if I had 450, I'd go longsword 1 potion. So you kind of always want pots on your first recall if you can. But yeah, 500 is just longsword refill is just perfect. But I'd always recommend getting at least 1 potion, even if you can't afford refill. So same thing as well, long trades versus short trades. So here you can see I'm trying to extend it, like 12 stacks of Conqueror, beat this guy down, get that extended trade. And now I still got my flash from earlier. So I can go for the kill here, but didn't need to use it anyway. So you can just see, you want that long trade mindset. No baby like queuing them and running away type of thing, unless, you know, like disengaging with approach or something. You want the long trade. Here I had to base because their jungler was probably top, getting pinged a lot. Didn't want to stress out my echo. And I'd rather take the small loss and risk dying here anyway. So this is an interesting point, the Vamp Scepter. Vamp Scepter is pretty underrated on Olaf because you don't need Tiamat because you're going to be, with level 5, you just one-shot the wave anyway with your Q. So, and the cooldown hammer is okay, but Vamp Scepter is quite nice because, like I said, you just keep hitting the wave, you keep lifestealing with your passive and Vamp Scepter, so you can stay in lane for a bit longer and extend the lane, especially in matchups that have a lot of poke like in Bessa. If you just have like let's say I had 2 longswords here or the cooldown hammer, she could poke me out of lane. So I prefer having more sustain because Olaf doesn't really need extra damage. If the trade goes for a long time, you're probably going to beat most champs. So just having more survivability and sustain's a bit nicer.
Okay, so that was a short trade. Do you want to talk about that?
Okay, so go back to it. So yeah, it is a soft, it's not a set in stone rule that I'll never
Hard
short
rule,
trade.
yeah.
Yeah. So here, I go for my X, just hit him with Q, and he's still got his ulti, his awaken. So I E and click backwards. I didn't really want to fight him in his awaken while tanking 3 minions as well. That's why I just went with the QE. And QE is quite nice because you can get your E off while still having approach velocity to get away, and your E has extra range. So they can't auto attack you if you E them, especially if they're slowed from your Q. So that would be your short trade pattern, like Q, approach velocity, E, run away. And just in a situation where a long trade's not going to be favorable for you, like tanking a whole wave or something. As I say that, I tank a whole wave, but you know, we're going to be able to take him out here.
So when do you press W? So obviously you know W's in short trades because you're not going to commit to them. So
Yep.
so look at this fight here, right? And like, you know, you're fighting a lot with no W, right? So
Yep.
what's the principle with W?
W, it gets a max value at 30% HP. So typically between 30 and 50 is when you want to use it. And or at the very end as a bit of burst, right? So here I'll use it at the end for a burst. Auto W, flash, there's flash E. So at the end of your trade to burst them before they get away, or like, you know, you bait them in and you use that shield when you're low HP. But you pretty much never want to use it at the very beginning. So we got the kill there.
Is that something you see? Is that something you see students use? They just like panic press W because I see a big pattern with players, especially newer players, is that fight happening, they must press all their abilities no matter what, right? So is that a common problem you see? People just waste their W?
Yeah, really common, especially using it for a shield. Like let's say they get hit by a Jace Q and they're 80% HP and they use their shield. The shield's like 10. It's like 10 or 20. Yeah. So and it's 50 mana. Like the mana cost is, you know, sneakily high. So you don't want to be using it like that. You don't want to use it to block poke pretty often. game. You know, there are exceptions, but typically you use it for extended trading.
So you said that level 5, this is when you can start doing poke queues a bit more. So is this because this is sort of like the mana threshold point where like now you don't need to worry too much about your mana from this point on?
Yeah, every point in Q you get quite a bit more damage. So this is where the poke actually matters. Where before level 1 it's like 60 damage. They're just gonna D-shield or second win that back. But now it's like you can see 205 on the wave. So it's actually starting to chunk now. So it's more so worth the mana cost to the damage. You can see that it's actually really starting to chunk him. Where level 1 it did, you know, like 60 or 65 or something. So this is where it gets worth it. So there I pop ulti to burn his ghost. That is, I actually regret that a little bit because I'm 3-0. It's better for me to have my tools, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, I'd say.
Yeah. So you got to have a bit of a small wins mindset sometimes with this. I guess as a 3-0 Olaf, you can get a little bit too excited. You're like, oh, you know, I reckon I can kill this guy, but you don't. I guess it's like diminishing returns. Killing Udeta probably doesn't do much for the game anymore at this point, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't kill him because he can just ghost away. So I don't actually like the trade of my ulti for his ghost there because now I'm kind of vulnerable. So you'll see really shortly, I actually get punished for it. This Pantheon makes my game unplayable. So now he ganked mid and he's just fogged in top river. So you'll see really shortly, I play it now. He could be in top bush. So I agreed a little bit, but now it's just like if Pantheon ganks top, I'm dead. So I just have to sit here.
So if you had ult, you could 1v2.
Exactly. Is that the difference? Exactly.
Okay, I see. So yeah, so this is massive then.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, big mistake.
The ults right this.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's a good principle. When you're ahead, you want to hold your tools unless it's 100% guaranteed kill. You don't want to be chasing people down full HP down the lane with R unless you know it's 100% kill. But again, even then, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. Like again, killing it does nothing, 0-3. It's better to just prevent you getting gagged. If I'm a jungler and I know that top is no longer an option for me, that's really bad because I lose options, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't have ult, that gives me options.
Yeah, that's why I have to play like this.
Top lane is 0-3.
I'm 3-0. I have to sit 2 screens away. Yeah, it's terrible. So I was literally kind of waiting for Pantheon to show back bottom, or until I could get vision down. So I'm just kind of chilling here. Even now, I'm quite scared to fight him back. I still haven't seen him. Like I'm pretty sure he's bottom, but when you're 3-0, you don't want to be pretty sure. You want to know. You know, you don't want to make that risk that can lose the game, because this was definitely a 1 or 2 mistakes game over type of game. Not current game state, but you'll see surely. So now I'm still waiting for Pantheon to show. Now there he is. So now I can play the game. So it's just on Olaf, you're really, really vulnerable to ganks. You have no mobility. So if you can't 1v2 them, you'll die. And without ulti, you can't 1v2 them. So you do have to be quite good at jungle tracking on this champ, I'd say. Because if you get behind on this champ, you're a full damage champ. So you're going to really struggle. You're not that useful.
No utility.
Exactly.
No utility.
Zero
you don't
utility.
have a Malphite ult.
Yeah, you don't. Malphite, you can die to 5 ganks, you're chilling, but Olaf, you cannot. So look at the little movements there. You can see I'm not just standing there and headbutting people. I'm kind of kiting them back.
Yeah, okay. I really want to pay attention to your movement, especially as the fights go on. Like that whole in and out mindset with your approach velocity.
Yeah, so auto click back. You can see like that. Always trying to weave in the autos, but not just like stand there. I mean, there it wasn't necessary, but you can see the mindset. Versus like a Darius or a Renekton, it would definitely be necessary. And if I wasn't 3-0.
So you're way more disciplined on your ult here.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like everyone would ult this. Would ult this. Is that because you have no cooldowns? You can't kill him?
No, he'll just awaken W and he won't die. So it's not worth the trade.
Awaken W. Okay,
yeah, he's just holding it. So he was trying to bait my ulti there. You can see I'm holding a cookie the whole time as well. Never use your cookie for sustain. Use your cookie for all-ins, pretty much. Even though it got nerfed, it's still the best on Olaf because the alternative is free boots, but then you can't buy your boots early game. So it's just you just go cookies anyway. So there does like a burst combo before he could get Awakened W down. The Q, let's see it.
So what do you do here? So we go. Was that an E?
Yep, just E for poke. But
kite back. I like the kiting back. Q, auto
W. Yeah. So go back one more time.
Auto does an auto attack reset. W auto attack reset.
So go back one more time and view the tower. So the way you want to juggle tower aggro on any champ, but it's good on Olaf. Just as the tower shoots its shot, you want to use your E on them because then the tower's still reloading before it shoots you again. And E is just really nice poke under tower. It doesn't cost you any mana as well. You can't miss it. So it's really good to punish them if they walk up for minions by Eing them. And then if you time it perfectly, you won't take a tower shot. Okay, so we get this wave in. So here, I think, yeah, I couldn't quite afford to have Hydra, but he has TP, so I just have to base.
Pretty sure I'll go boots. Is this where you'll get tier 2 boots? Yeah, okay, this is where you get tier 2 boots.
Because I can afford them.
Yeah, you can one-shot them, yeah.
Yeah, and the cooldown hammer there, just best thing I could afford. I'd probably have gone hammer over Tiamat there, anyway, just because cooldown's so OP on Olaf. But yeah, tier 2 boots you can see is top priority.
So you don't care about Tiamat. Tiamat's the lowest priority, Bolden and Ravenous Hydra.
Yeah, out of the three. Unless you're like, I want to proxy and run around the map because I'm versus Time Kench or Malphite or something. Like then you can. But this game, he was playing pretty aggressive, so I just wanted to kind of farm him, right? Where if he was sitting under tower and doing nothing and giving farm, then maybe I would have gone Tiamat and then tried to proxy and run around.
What about freezing? So obviously freezing and holding waves is way easier without Tiamat. Tiamat like auto pushes waves basically, right? So are you looking to freeze much with this champion?
Olaf is a good champ to freeze on. I wouldn't tunnel on it too hard because the thing about Olaf is you don't have TP. So if you freeze and then they just base in TP and they're stronger than you, then you can kind of never get a recall early game. So freezing's more so for later on in the lane, like level 5,
Like
level
level
7.
7 plus,
Yeah.
level 5, 7 plus, okay.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't interfere with Void Grub. So you don't want to freeze on Grub Timer, of course. You can relate to that, Rippy, as a jungler. You don't want to freeze on Grub Timer and just ruin the game.
Well, I'm a good jungler, Chippies. I adapt to my top laner. They
True,
freeze,
true.
I give grubs. You know, I'm a smart jungler.
Well, we don't want to give Grub, so we're not freezing on Grub Timer. We're ready.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, just poking him under tower. You can see, especially with Vamp Scepter, you can be kind of a unit with poking under tower and just heal back off the wave. And it's not the end of the world. You'll see here, like 33 per auto is quite a lot. With your passive and D-Blade and Vamp Scepter, it's really underrated sustain.
Yes, you're literally healing each auto attack. 33, 28. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why I'm not using spells on the wave too, because I want to get as many autos as possible.
I feel like everyone's hitting the wave there. Everyone will be smashing the wave there. Okay, that's another mistake I could see people doing.
Yeah, wasting mana, wasting potential healing.
Wasting mana, healing. Yes, okay, this is making a lot of sense. Yeah, now that I think about it, Olaf seems simple, but like actual execution practicality, it's actually very unintuitive. It's a very hard champion, I think.
Yeah.
You know, people like laugh like, Nathan Chippy says Olaf, you know, he's hard champion. Like for most players, you know, maybe this is again why we don't see him. It's hard. Like you wouldn't win games by making these mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, the spell, it's not clear what you should be doing with them. Exactly. It just feels like hit Q, pop goes and run at them, but there's a lot of little
It's like a no-brain champ. It's like a no-brain champ.
There's a lot of nuances to it. So normally you want Sweeper on Olaf. The reason I went Blue Trinket is because I'm still laning. So Sweeper doesn't really do anything for me here. And I like Blue at level 9 just because you can ward red or golems without leaving your lane. But when my lane is finished, I'll probably swap to Sweeper as soon as I can. Because you want to, if you can flank with Ghost and Flash up, it's just unbeatable, especially versus mobile carries like Varus. So you want to be looking for creative flanks if you can. Unless you're just verse like a full melee dive comp, you can front to back as well. It depends what you're versing, but if you verse a bunch of range champs, you should probably always look for flanks. Okay, so here, we want to try and kill this guy and get the tower. I don't want to lane any longer. He's already out of the game. And I need to spread my lead around. I think bottom mid, we're struggling quite a lot. So we'll go for the dive here. So you can see I'm just playing it quite slow. I don't want to risk dying for the 0-5 Udyr. I'm not really pressed if he does or not. But here I'll just poke him and then drop the tower aggro. With Rav Hydra, that's when you can play crazy because you just heal so much off the wave. You'll see shortly when I start hitting the wave, I'm just going to heal to full HP in like 2 seconds. So Rav Hydra makes you, really good in side lane as well. You can see how fast you heal.
Yeah, I see. So, do you want to talk to me about that mindset, what you said here, where like, my goal is to break this tower and impact the rest of the map?
Yep.
So, like, is that when you, because there's no objective up right now. You said you want to fight around objectives.
Yep.
So what would that look like? You'll like break that tower, then start like, you still got to push waves though, right? And then move, right? So
I'd keep,
it just gives you that option, basically.
I'd keep Udyr stuck under the tower. I'd grab a ping.
Okay.
Pinks in the mid game are good. I'd ward up the enemy jungle, eat every camp that I can with Rav Hydra. And if mid ever tries to play the game, I'll gank them. And if jungle comes in, I can fight him. And then when dragon rocks up, spawns, then I'll rock up to it early.
Then you're fighting the objective. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not just like sprinted bot like an idiot, like a rank.
No.
Like trying to like lane gank. Okay.
No.
I guess I'll probably jump ahead, but you'll probably do that in this game, I assume.
I do, yeah. I will make some plays in this game. So yeah, I just ignore him because I know Rav Hydra, you can't kill me. I'm chilling. Just start fighting him back. Here, I was a little bit scared, so just in case, big shutdown. I probably didn't need a flash, but, better safe than sorry when you're got a shutdown. And now, if we can press pause on a tab, this is why I thought it'd be a good game, because this is a tough one. They are very, very fed everywhere except top, and my champ has no TP, right? So it's like, how do you stop your team getting caught? How do you join all the fights? So yeah, you'll see in this game, Dragon's up in 50 right now. So right now, my mindset, I want to be involved there if I can. Because right now, even though
this is the classic Chippys where it's like top lane, zero impact. I cut my bots feed in. Like I can't win this game. Chippys, like my
Yeah.
team sucks. So your mindset is like it's up to your responsibility to impact this map here.
Yeah.
And carry the game. This is going to be really interesting. I guess this is
Yeah.
the classic question you probably always get, Chippies, is
Yeah.
I'm 5-0 in lane. How do I close out games?
Yep. So press
When my
pause
bots
again
feed in.
on a tab. One thing I want to hopefully give people some hope. Their scores look scary, right? If you look at the score, but look at their items. He's got like Tiamat, Ghostblade, Protobelt, like Vamp Scepter. They're just useless compared to Olaf. Like Olaf runs these guys over, even though their score is scary. So let's say I wasn't fed. If I didn't have double Ruby, if I was just 1-0, 2-0 or something, it doesn't change anything. They're still weak 80 carry and mid champs at this point. So I still want to fight everything.
Okay, so so you're building Sun to Sky now, right?
Yep. Because they have 4 millies.
So Ruby Crystals are the best to buy.
Yeah.
Health HP is better when you're ahead, right? Because you're like unkillable. Isn't it just a better stat than AD? You don't build the AD components, do you?
So because you have Rav Hydra, you have no HP in your build, so you just go double Ruby instead of pickaxe. But if you're going Stridebreaker, you can do swords or pickaxe or something instead. Because you have a lot of HP from Stride.
You have for Stridebreaker. I see. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So initially I was going to fight that dragon, but my team didn't have ultis. My Swain had no ulti, and my Alistair had no ulti. So like I said, you want to fight everything except for losing fights. So this fight doesn't look so good. So I'm probably just going to go to top. As I say that, I might change my mind, but this fight just looks terrible, so probably not. Yeah.
Interesting.
If my Swain had ulti, if my Swain had ulti, I would have jumped in there for sure. Okay, so I started walking down because initially nothing terrible happened, right? Like you can see they burned a bunch of ultis, even though they killed Echo, they all kind of chunked and burned a lot of spells. So the result is better than I expected. And like I said, you don't want to be bashing a tier 2 as Olaf. If I push top here, the Udyr would TP back to top and I'd get nothing, right? So it's better for me to kind of hover around in case something happens, like a good opportunity. And I think in this case, maybe nothing happened, but they burned everything. Oh, they're trying to FF. So normally I don't like chatting, but I know this game's a win. Like I said, certain games for Olaf, you just know it's a win. So I know this game can't be lost if no one sells their items. So I'm just trying to look top, we can win. But it's pretty rare I'll do that unless it's like I'm really scared of an FF. You see, I'm trying to put chat back off. But anyway,
try.
Please try.
I love this. You're really trying to get your teams on FF. You're so like, I'm gonna win this game.
Yeah, I just knew this one's a win. So so there, because they burned everything on my team, they got chunked. I thought there was maybe a play where if I push in top, Udyr TPs, I don't get anything. So it's like, is a risk. I missed out on a wave, but it could have paid off, right? And for Olaf, for Aatrox, those types of champions, you want to be looking for those fights while you're strong before I have to verse a 3-4 item Varus and mid diner and stuff like that. So next objective here is Herald. So I'm going to be thinking about that. But my Alistair is playing bot side. So if the objective looks like a free loss, because right now, again, my Swain's got an ulti, my jungle's dead, you can just try to trade. It's not a hard rule that you never hit a tower. But here, the fight's not going to be a win around Herald. So I'm just playing for top tower instead. This is a really good point here. I don't use my Ghost because it's not worth it. Even if I got this kill, my Ghost is more valuable than that one kill. And it's not guaranteed because he's Talon. He's just going to do backflips over the wall. So that's why I had my Ghost there that whole time.
I see.
So just chunking him.
Really, you want to just chunk small wins. Okay. Let's go back here, Chippies, because I love this in terms of not hitting this tower. Because you're because everyone hits this tower. Every single person hits this tower, right? So you're in this mindset, you're pinging like I want to attempt, like, I guess it seems like when you're learning Olaf, because people aren't going to have the level of your sophisticated understanding of the game. It's like, I can sort of see top as like maybe a potential fight win. Just if you feel like at all you could like run to the other side of the map and win a fight, you should just go there and just limit test and see if you win or lose, and then you can ask, maybe I should have hit the tower. But it seems like this needs to be your mindset. Don't hit towers, push, and then roam and see what you can do, and then improve from there. Is that how you would like explain like how people should learn like this whole push and move mindset? Because I feel like a lot of the time people like would go, it's like, well, Chippers, you're telling me to go to the fight, but I'm dying. But you're like, well, you had no ults. Like that your team didn't have ults there, right? So you got to you got to learn that somehow.
Exactly. It's better for learning. The learning shouldn't be, we lost the fight, I'll split push next time, right? It's better to learn why you lost the fight and get better at reading if it's a good fight or a bad fight than to just be a split pushing Olaf.
Because I'm trying to think of my solo queue games and like Olaf players, and like they like rage split a lot of
Yeah,
the time, or like
yeah.
split push, and I'm thinking like this is not what I see in solo queue games, and
Mm.
it's making sense again why no one can play this champion because I guess do they think it's because the champion's really like mobile, like you're like waddling to one side of the map to the other? Maybe that's they feel uncomfortable roaming. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, because they have
But
no
I just don't
TP.
see Olafs do this. Yeah, they have no
Exactly, yeah.
TP. I see. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
And
It
I'd say
seems
on
so many
Olaf, yeah.
narratives get broken down here, Chippies,
Mm.
in this review.
And I will say on Olaf, even the players that, make that type of mistake, they're probably going to win lane more often than not on the champ. So they don't want to, I don't want my enemy top to get back into the game and
I
farm and outscale
see.
me if I roam. But you need, like, here, I'm giving Udyr a bunch of farm. Who cares, right? Like, maybe he'll upgrade his Oblivion Orb if he wants to. I don't care. I need to be more involved in the game. So yeah, they're the only reason I didn't go to Herald. I didn't play to make with my Alistair instead. Right, chunk that Talon. But you see, my Ghost is not worth that kill unless it's like 100% no questions asked to kill. Other than that, you have to value your Ghost and your Flash really highly.
Value your Ghost and Flash. I love it.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, the game is just getting more and more doomed.
Yeah.
Look at the scores now. Let's do a tab screen check. I mean, you're
Yeah.
doing lots of a big one. I'm seeing a lot of tab screens. You're assessing like a lot. I
Yeah.
see a lot of people don't tab screen enough in the mid game in my reviews.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Okay, so what are we seeing here? What are we thinking? Is this
So right now,
because you said before they didn't have items? Are you scared of the items now?
no, because look at Varus, right? He's got a great score. He's got a great shutdown. He is useless. He's got Bork and Pickaxe, right? So I really want to fight now before he gets Rage Blade and stuff like that. This would be and Diner as well, like Protobelt, Merc Treads. Like, come on, right? Useless. So while these items look terrible, this is where I really, really want to fight to happen. And the first two opportunities, we didn't get them. But, not every game is doomed. It's not, every time I go to the fight, my team gets caught out. That happened to me twice in a row. But eventually a fight will happen, right? That you can be at as long as you're always looking for it. So here we can see Dragon is up next, 240, and I see them contesting Vision. So I come up with my Alistair. Alistair's my best CC champ, right? So I'm trying to make a play with him. If the Pantheon went on Alistair there or something like that, I was ready for it. If not, I can fog down to bottom. So keeping the wave pushed out is good, but you still want to be looking for plays primarily. Here I'm pretty close to Sundered Sky as well, so if nothing happens, I will just farm that. But you can see, even though I'm close to my item, I'm still looking for plays. Like, I'm still the strongest champ in this game, whether I have my second item or not, right? I don't need to tunnel too hard on just power farming and, play safe, guys. I need my item. I can still fight. It's fine. But here I'm a bit scared because my Alistair's basing. Even though he's 0-6 and 0, his champ's still broken. So I want him with me if I'm going to fight. That's why when he's trying to recall, I'm chilling way more now. Because like I said, right, Olaf's not engaged. So I need someone else to get the fight going for me.
So you really think about playing around Alistair. That's what your key reference point is here. I guess Swain's good at starting fights sometimes because, well, they go in on Swain, right? Like, they use all their abilities and you can come and clean up.
Yep, yeah, if you can get it going. Just anyone that starts to fight, it's fine. So here you can see, this is a great example. I could have waited for my item and based, but I'm looking for this fight here instead.
And is this where Sweeper, again, is really useful for flanking? This is why you need Sweeper. Is that why?
Yep. It's either here or the next play. I think I get a flank off. It might be here. Yep, yeah, here we go. So I go for Talon. There might have been another play where I get a flank. So yeah, I just go on the closest target, right? It's just easy to hit. This is why Olaf's so good in the melee comp. Look, I don't have to use Ghost. I have to flash to live them. But I can easily hit my target without using anything. And you can see there, even though a fight happened, I've still got my Ghost this whole time. So we're just chilling. Yeah.
Cool.
Not wasting
so
that.
yeah, you don't waste it. You already knew that we'll go back. We already knew that Pantheon was going to die there.
Yep, exactly. So I only use my flash because I would have died. Right? I'm not trying to flash for like a low value kill or anything. So I chunk this guy. Pantheon goes on me. You can see I didn't ulti as well when he W'd me. You don't need to waste your ult either. So here I ulti just for damage because I know Talon's going to go in. But I didn't ulti a Pantheon stun where I'm not going to get one shot or not going to get CC.
Because you're full HP. Just better to hold it. I see. Yeah.
Of course, if people are going to hit me when I'm stunned, I'll use ulti. But like, just because you get hit by a Thresh Hook or a Pantheon W doesn't mean you need to blow your ult straight away and waste it. Because if he like flashes the wall after I ulti and Talon just waits, now I'm in Olaf with no ulti, right? So it's important that I use it when I know that they're committed.
So I guess what makes a good Olaf player is having high value ults, getting a lot of value out of their ult and not wasting it. A really important question that people should be asking is, did I waste my ult that fight? Did I waste my ghost? Did I just ult, one CC ability on full HP and then I wasn't able to kill everyone? It
Yeah.
sounds like these are really important things to be asking.
I'd say especially summoner spells, because with ulti, it's like, it's got a bit of leeway, because as long as you can hit people, you can keep it going, right? And like, let's say I ultied there and killed Pantheon, wouldn't have been the end of the world, but if I wasted Ghosts there, I wouldn't get a future opportunity. So
Yeah.
you see right now, I don't want to be top. I just don't want to give Talon the opportunity to hit the tier 2. So I just quickly kill the wave and leave, right? Wave clear really good at this point, and I'm running straight to Dragon. I've got my Ghost, I've got my 2 items. This is a really good fight opportunity now.
I see.
Maybe one more
Yep.
wave because my Alistair's basing. But you get the idea. I really want to join this fight. But yeah, that's going to be the hard skill to learn, knowing what's a good fight or a bad fight, right? There, my Alistair wasn't ready. So I had to do one more wave. And now we're coming. I think that's a skill people struggle with, is map awareness of your own teammates. It's so important though, because if I just rocked up there by myself, I'm just sitting on my hands like doing nothing because my Alistair has to get wards or something. It's not worth it here. So now we can
So
see.
a lot of people here would say, Chippys, is like, okay, well, the dragon's gone. I just
Yeah.
go back top here. There's no play to be done here. Why do you keep going here? Is that because sometimes, specifically, there is a fight after dragon, even though, are you playing for the fight, not the dragon? Is that your mindset?
Exactly. When they finish the dragon, everyone's the sigh of relief, right? Nice, we've done dragon.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's go back and farm, guys. So that's when you can catch stragglers out, like we're trying to do here.
I see.
So I'm hunting for Varus right now because he's 1k shutdown as well. So I'm just kind of hunting and kind of hoping a fight can break out. It's a tough skill because I don't want people to just ARAM and sit with their teammates for 20 minutes in a row. But here, I can't hit tier 2. There's Artican is up. There's nothing else to do. There's a high chance a fight happens here. And look at my pings. Please, Echo, please come, right? I need my Echo here, ideally, for this fight. So I'm in no risk of a fight happening around Artican without me here. But I'm not rushing into it. I'm trying to wait for Senna and Echo to come because, your teammates are going to be late sometimes and you have to play around that. But as long as you're not the one that's late, it's fine. TNC here, trying to get a nice flank. Trying to get around the area. They did mark me though. So you don't want to be kind of clumped up with your team front to back. You saw that previous fight, I didn't get that much work done because I was front to back. So here I'm looking for
So
a
you
more
want to
of
be
an
away
angle.
from your team. So you sort of like, your team's going to be here and you're looking for like, go from like that angle. You just want to be away from your team with Sweeper.
Exactly, yeah. And my target here is Varus because of course he's 2 item, 1k shutdown, and mobile 80 carry. So I'm going for the flank. Here it is. So we got the sweeper, we got the flank. Didn't even pop my sweeper.
And this is the ghost.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have ghost if you used it before,
Yeah.
right?
And here we go. Yep. Pop ghost. Let's go on to him because I saw him use flash and 1060.
That's crazy. There's no counterplay to that, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So if we go back to that too, notice the Diana as well. When you're ahead on Olaf, it's so easy to run in and die and let Olaf play the champion for you. But my life is more valuable than any kill in this game, except Varus. But after I killed him, you'll see I just hit the Diana a little bit. So just one-shot him, and then just whack her a little bit, and then I just run away. No risk of dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
No risk of dying, I see. Your only job is to kill Varus. That's all you care about here.
Yep. And now I'm just sort of kiting around, getting Qs off, and not risking my own life at all. And then just base straight away. As soon as the play's done. No time to lose.
And a lot of people would be upset they lost tier 2 here, right, Chippys?
Yeah.
But you valued it. I mean, you just won. This is a game-winning play, right? Like, if you didn't make this play, your team would have just followed Artican and died.
Yep,
right? That's
exactly.
what would have happened, and then you slowly blade out the game, and you would have just sat top and just, Talon would have wave cleared with you and nothing would have happened.
The tier 2 rule is a tough one. Typically, it's not worth giving a tier 2 for like a dragon fight, but because that was an Artican fight and we're in a really bad situation where if we don't win a fight now, we're going to lose, I took the risk, right? Maybe we lose that fight and I lose tier 2 and we lose the game, or maybe if I win top, my team just gets ace and we lose Artican and lose the game, right? So it's better to take that risk on Olaf than be like really selfish in top lane, like you might be on a Gwyn or something like that. So there we get that.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, I definitely think this is the big takeaway is that, a lot of people really need to test and learn this whole, roaming, and impacting the map with around objectives. But I mean, you have given people principles, right? It's like, okay, objective, Atacant, that's a big fight. Like, people fight around objectives. That's how League works. So that's going to be the high percentage thing for you to go to.
Yeah. And the hard one to see is like a lot of my roams didn't actually work. Like I didn't die, but nothing really happened, right? But I'm always looking for that. And when it did happen, I was in the right place, right time. It wasn't just luck though, because every time I was in the right place, it just wasn't the right time until like, after 5 or 6 tries. But you always have to be ready in that position. And hopefully it doesn't take that many turns. Sometimes, my Echo is a bit mad. You can see is like trying to FF and go farm top and stuff like that. But, that's going to happen in SoloQ for sure. It's just important that your conclusion when you make a mistake, like, I went to dragon, nothing happened, I should have stayed top. You got to try to avoid that train of thought. You got to see why, you got to review it from the lens of, was this actually a good move or not? Before you saw what happened after, right? Like, look at what happened before that made you move and decide if it's a good move or not. You can't just turn on the result. Because you can make the ultimate roam of all time, and all 4 of your teammates, mice and keyboard could get unplugged, and it doesn't work. That doesn't mean it was a bad move. You always got to review how it looks like before you go there. And here we can see Varus no ulti. This is why I love Olaf into Varus Ash type champs. Hit the max range Q and goodbye. Don't even need an ulti here as well.
Wow, don't even ult. Yeah. Love the discipline.
Bash them down.
Wow,
yeah.
you really knew. Okay.
Yeah. So go back to the look.
The Q. Yeah. I was expecting the Q into the R principle there, right?
Yeah.
Q into R.
So go back to the look. It's all body language if you go back. So watching the Varus here, he feels my teammates died bot. I'm safe to farm mid, right? So I can kind of tell by his body language, he wants this cannon wave. He's really keen to get every single last minion. And I'm trying to avoid the vision of the minions. So I hug the fog on the edge here. I think he just saw me now. Like right here is where he saw me.
Yeah.
So yeah, always looking for the body language of mid. Most of your fights are going to be done near neutral objectives, but if you can get a flank mid, you can do this and it'll work well as well.
Killing these 80 carries on mid-wave. I never expected a champ like Olaf to kill 80 carries on mid-wave. That's crazy.
Especially these are moments. Like, if that's a Zeri, I wouldn't even look, right? But Varus, Ash, you gotta look for it. Which is why Olaf, like how good this champion is, a lot of the time it's pretty comp dependent as well. You can still have a good game in a bad Olaf comp, but I'm saying your champ becomes really, really good in certain comps like this one. Okay, so here we go. This is Dragon Soul, so no matter what's happening, I have to fight this. Even if my teammates got caught out now, this is Soul, right? Soul Baron, you can't afford to be stuck in side lane anywhere. So I rock up here early, ready for the fight. Okay, Pantheon goes in, and it's go time. So I go on him. As long as I can hit anyone with my ulti, it's fine. My axe could have been a little bit better there, but, we're still chilling. As long as you can keep your ulti up, it's fine. And didn't have to use flash there either. If he flashed away, I wouldn't have flashed, by the way, as well. Not worth the kill. Now we just chill. Without ulti, you do have to be careful. You're kind of weak in a team fight without ulti. But it's Dragon Soul. I have to fight it anyway.
What about if you have ult, but you have no flash and ghost?
That just depends on the game state, I would say. Like here, I would fight it anyway without flash ghost because it's Dragon Soul, right? I have to fight it. But if it's like a second Ocean Dragon and you have no flash ghost and the game's kind of close or losing, you can just give it and play off your summoner spells. It depends on the value of the objective.
This might be too of a general question, but does most of the time, and I don't know if you do this intentionally, are you trying to use like one of your summoner spells in each fight? So I use Ghost in this fight, and then I use Flash in the next one. So you always have something ready to go. Is that something you think about, or is that just too general?
Not like that. It's more so use as little sums as you need to. Don't use Ghost unless you need it. Don't use Flash unless you need it, like that.
I see. And so happens that you probably only need to use one in most fights, right? If you have good flanks and good angles. And that's how it works out.
And good game. If I'm versing Zeri Lilium, I'm probably going to have to use Ghost and Flash to kill any of those champs,
Yeah,
but And these types of games, you should only really need one. But, don't make that as a rule like, oh, I don't want to Flash. I need it for next fight. If Flash carries the fight for Baron or Soul, just use it. It's fine. Just make sure you're not wasting it for like a Pantheon support or, some low value kill. So here, the only reason I'm farming is because everyone is basing or dead, but I really want to fight this Baron. Try to play around with the blue a bit. I think she still got it. So you can see the kiting kind of thing. I'm not just like running in. Yeah.
Yep.
Because at this point, I do kind of not get one shot, but I'm not that tanky at this point, so I do have to be careful.
When you get Spur Visage, that's when you can be more reckless. Is that your principle?
It's more so...
Or even you're still squishy. You're even still squishy always. You have to be mindful of your, running in 1v4.
Yeah, you just can't engage. You're not an engaged champ, right? So that's there. Alistair and Swain went in position. So I had to wait for them before I went crazy. So I was just kind of tagging Dino with my Q and kind of keeping her stuck
going
there.
in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So
you like to keep people interested with your Q. Like, hey, I'm going to go in. Just joking, I'm going out. Oh, hey, I'm going in. Just joking, I'm going out. So whilst you're waiting for your team, I see.
Yeah, and engage on me, it'll be fine, but then you just use your ulti and you're chilling. So I'm trying to bait them in as well. But then here, because I don't have engage, I'm just sort of playing it quite slow, keeping her tagged with Qs. And then here, just go on him because he's right next to me. Keeps it simple. Don't really know where Varus is either. So just hit this guy. And here, because it's Baron, I'm okay to use Ghost for this one kill, of course, right? It's not ghosting for a kill, it's ghosting for like a winning Baron fight. So it's definitely worth it there. And at this point, my team had caught up a little bit, so they got to get some work done. Swain started to be useful. One thing about Olaf as well, your Baron damage is really high. See how often I'm Eing? 420 true damage every time I'm getting an E off. So this champ is sleeper good at doing Baron as well.
It's like every 1 second,
Yeah.
the auto attacks. It's like E5, 3, 1, done.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So imagine that on like a champion, right? So this champ kind of scales well in the right games, but you also do Baron extremely quick. So your Baron intensity needs to be quite high, making sure you're never in a situation where, oh, a Baron fight happened, but I'm pushing bottom, nothing like that. You have to be, that's why I rocked up to Baron as fast as possible. And I was the one crying, like, where are you guys? Stop basing, stop, like, come Baron, right? With pings. That's why instead of me being the one bottom and a fight happens without me.
I never thought that Olaf was a fast Baron. I never have said in a review or anything that Olaf is a fast Baron taker. They probably think, oh, this is a bad Baron. It's too slow.
Yeah. But yeah, you just get so many E's off. You get like 20 E's onto Baron. It's like 8k damage. So you just, it's definitely a good champion to rock up to Baron, grab vision, and then start Baron, kill them if they walk in. So yeah, my mid's dead, so that's why I'm farming item. But as soon as I've got my Visage, it's go time, right? We're just going to try and find a fight. And even though my Ghost is down, I still have Flash, so we're chilling. So yeah, this is the full...
So think about your Visage item spike. Like, people should really base for that. Like, think about the gold. That's a really important item. I guess all items it's important for, but don't stay on the map, overstay on the map.
I don't want you to tunnel too out on Visage, though, because if a fight... Like, if my team were on the map already, I wouldn't base for it. Like, I'd stay for the fight. Yeah, it's not like a Gwen def cap, level 16 type of thing. It's just like when you have Rev Hydra and Sun to Sky, it's just a really good item, but it's not a Gwen level 16 def cap or an IE for an AD carry or something. So here we go. So just waiting for my Echo and Swain to kind of pressure a bit. So remember, I'm not engaged, right? It's pretty rare you've seen me going first. I'm kind of chilling a lot here. Just bait them to come in. Come on, use your CC on me. It'll be fine, right? So just being really annoying the whole time and trying to bait them in. You can see that
again holding your ults. Yeah. Again holding your ults here, Chippys, right? You're just because you just know you're not going to die, right? Yeah. Like a lot of people would panic ult there. Everyone would panic ult there, right? You're just chilling.
And look at the tiny Qs as well, like the 1-inch Q, so you don't lose it.
Pick it up.
I mean, here I toss
1-inch Q.
Here I toss it away, but just try hit Diana. But when you're chasing somebody, always do the baby 1-inch Qs. So we kill Diana as well, and then I think Talon caught midwave, so it slowed us down a bit, but it was a good fight for sure. So yeah, just kind of being on the edge of the fight, kind of being annoying, poking them down, weaving in and out. Because if they engage on you, that's great, right? Because you don't get affected by CC, of course. So you don't want to engage yourself, but if you can make the fight happen by them engaging onto you, it's really good. Just don't get in the situation where you have to ulti and you can't hit anything, right? Like maybe Varus ults me and I have to ult and walk away. That's not worth it. But there I was kind of playing on the edge and trying to bait Pantheon or Diana in. So Dragon here in 30, so I have to be really aware of that. So every objective you can see, there wasn't a single objective that I was like not thinking about. I didn't fight every single one because my teammates were getting caught early game, but I was thinking about everyone. So we just push in. Just trying to make space for my Senna so she can hit tower.
So I could definitely see situations because you say the champion's not really got to split push in.
Yeah.
You sort of want to fight for objectives. I feel like that when you're ahead, there might be, you can't siege with this champion. You don't want to fight under towers like this. You want them to be, in the jungle and like flanking in. I feel like a lot of people would actually struggle to close out games with this champion. At this as well. Like, how would you say it's like, well, Chippers, I'm in this situation. I'm really ahead now. There's no objectives up. I mean, obviously Dragon's up here, so I guess. But the enemy team's not going to fight Dragon. You have so much pressure. How do you close out games with Baron? What's the mindset? Because you can't really siege.
Yeah, it has to be Baron to close out the game, or like Soul. The major objectives. Here, I think my teammates, someone got caught or something, so we couldn't use the Baron properly. Can't quite remember. But typically it has to be you rock up to a major objective. So here's a flash. You rock up to a major objective like a Baron or a Soul. You make them fight you. If you win the fight, that's great. If not, you get the Baron, and then you can start to take towers down with that. That's sort of the principle. Yeah.
So you just got to be patient and wait. Either Baron or wait for them to literally come out of their base and fight the objective.
Yep, exactly. Make them come out by using Soul or Baron or Elder, any big objective. Like make them come out.
All right, well, absolute carry game here, Chippies. Your team wanted to FF at every point. Echo was crying the entire time. It's funny, he finished the game 14 and 7 as
Yeah,
well,
popped
yeah.
off
But
too.
a really good example, yeah, of a really good Olaf game, and I mean, pretty much flawlessly played, right? I can't really think, I mean, except for that wasted R
Yeah,
top,
top. Yeah.
right? The rest of that's really clean. I feel like this is a game. If you just didn't do maybe any like one or two of those plays, this game would have looked completely different. You probably would have lost. This is a game where you had to play very, very cleanly.
Yeah, some of those fights, if I just went top and farm my item or try to get tier 2, definitely a loss for sure. You have to have that mindset of being really impactful early while you're strong. Because if I let that Varus get the 3 items, I wouldn't be able to just walk up and one-shot him and ignore him like that, right? He'll just mow me down. So you have to get a lot of work done before that point.
Great stuff. All right, let's jump into our tier list section now, Chippies.
All right.
Matchups, Chippies. We got 4 categories here. Very hard for Olaf. What are hard matchups? Skill matchups for Olaf in lane, and then easy. I guess we could just talk about lane phase. I don't know if you want to... Typically, when you do these, do you talk about the game holistically, or is just lane matchups?
I think just for lane. Let's just do for lane, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll sort of go left to right here. Fiora. Where would Fiora go?
Fiora, we can do hard. I feel like, because we're just talking about lane, as long as you can get that extended trade onto her, you will have your time to go. And the room for error for her is way smaller. Like, she has to be spacing you with Qs, poking you down, stuff like that. And if she messes up, like a bad parry or a bad Q, and you hit her with Axe, you can just run her down. So yeah, I think hard is fine. But even though the room for error is small, if she plays it well, she can just poke you out of lane. She can make you base at bad times. And when she has Rev Hydra, you can get kind of suffocated. So that's why it's not a skill matchup. Definitely Fiora favored.
SA. Riven.
Riven, I'd actually say very hard. I feel like this champ just has too much threat, and it can just kill you level 1 if you try to fight him. This is the type of matchup where you need to get a bit cheesy and go like Frozen Heart first, or even Exhaust or something like that. Because if you have Ghost Flash, she can just kill you, and it doesn't really get better. Of course, if you get ahead of her, you can run her over, but I'd say it's completely up to Riven. In this matchup, you should play mainly for staying high HP, getting good farm, and if she makes a mistake, you can punish that instead of you trying to force onto her.
I feel like it's hard to hit Qs on Riven as well,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's just really annoying.
Yeah, definitely. And she can space your ulti out quite well as well.
Yasuo, top, bit of a more niche pick.
Yeah, so I'll say skill matchup. He can win more your Q, which is kind of annoying, but he's still Yasuo. Like, if you get a good Q, you can just run him down pretty easily, and you can't really do anything about it. Might even be... I won't go easy, because a good Yasuo player can play the spacing game quite well. So I'll keep it in skill matchup, but kind of at the very edge of it.
Is Vlad one of our Doran Shield matchups where you start Doran Shield?
I'd go Blade, because Vlad's pretty weak early game. You can get Pro, so I'd put him in hard, not very hard. Just because he's not that strong early, and if you have full control of the early wave, which means you can get first recall, and then if you come back D-Blade, Longsword refill, and he doesn't base because he doesn't have TP, you can find a timer to run him down and abuse that item advantage. But it's still hard because he can just poke you down, he can pull your combo, and if he takes like, what's it called, Nimbus Cloak and Ignite, it can be quite annoying.
It sounds like you just go even with you, sort of, and just play defensive and sort of be more useful in team fights, maybe.
Yeah, and if you miss the back timer or you get ganked or the lane goes for a long time, you can just get trapped forever and eventually tower dove.
Nasus?
Nasus is easy. Your ulti Nasus' one ability is W, and your ulti just negates that. So this matchup's pretty straightforward. You do have to be quite good with your Qs though, because he'll take Phase Rush. But as long as you're hitting your Q, Phase Rush doesn't last forever. And with Approach Velocity and Ghost, you can kind of keep up with him, more or less. And because he's so weak early game, you can normally get an early game advantage as well.
Wukong?
Wukong, I'd say skill matchup. If he takes Ignite, it's a bit tricky. But as long as you don't make it too volatile early game, you can just run him down at some point. I'd say 1 to 3 is hard, and then 5 to 9 is easy. And if you get tabbies, like first recall or second recall especially, there's not a lot he can do. He just doesn't have the burst to kill you. So definitely not too bad of a matchup. Go Sweeper in this one. You need to be able to follow his clone, because if you sweep his clone and hit him with axes, then he's just screwed up, yeah.
Makes sense. Kled.
Kled, I think, is a skill matchup. People think this is Kled favored, but if he takes Ignite TP, it's a little bit annoying. But you can be annoying too and take Exhaust in this one and kind of match that. And then again, at tabbies, you can run him down. As long as you don't get baited by when he falls off his horse, you'll be fine. And then at like Rev Hydra, you just out-sustain everything he does.
GP? Is it Doran Shield or D-Blade?
This is D-Shield. I think he just has too much poke and it's too hard to cleanly crash against him. I'll put him very hard. I think at the top level, there's not that many good GP players though, but I'd say objectively, this matchup's just quite brutal. Like he can just W your axe and space you out, and you always have a barrel behind him, so it's very uncomfortable to reach him. And even though, like, yeah, you crash a wave, let it come back to you. I'll tell you, last season, it was hard, not very hard. But now the wave control makes it a lot harder to freeze. Like the classic last season, 3-wave crash, let the wave come back in, ghost him down. That doesn't really work anymore. So the lane goes for a bit longer, and that's going to benefit GP way more than you. So I'd say this one's very hard.
One of your favorite champions, Chippys, as well, Camille.
Camille, this is a tough one. I'll put it skill matchup. I think either side can win this one. The problem with this matchup is Camille can just take short trades against you with W, and if you run at her, just auto QQ and E away. And then when you're low, she has Ignite, it's quite difficult. You actually put it in hard. I'd actually say I'd actually rather be Camille here, just because as well, Olaf's ulti is like his survivability tool, but she just locks you down as well. So it's pretty easy to get ganked as well. And unfortunately, League's not a 1v1. We got to include how jungle interacts. So I'd say Camille, yeah, she wins short trades. She has insane gank setup. So I'll keep her in hard.
Is Shen one of these champs you pick TP against? One of the meatballs?
Oh, it depends on the rest of their comp. To give you an annoying answer, if I need flash for the rest of their comp, I will. But Shen, you can take TP. Put him in easy as well. This matchup is so free because you can just keep him. If he taunts onto you, he's just dead. You just ult him and beat him up. True damage and Q works even when he's got his little W auto tech blocking thing up. So he doesn't really negate that much from you. And eventually you just keep him shoved under tower the whole game, mid game, early game. It's like, it's really hard 1 to 3 if he takes Ignite. But then 5 for the rest of the entire game, unplayable for him.
Yone,
I'll say it's a Yone favored matchup because he can space you out with Q3 and W. So I put it in hard for sure. But he has to play really well, right? It's easier for Olaf to play this matchup than Yone, but at the top level, it's hard and Yone favored. I'd say in this one, some advice: make sure you get prior no matter what. Make sure you get the first recall, because if you miss your back timing, you're just stuck forever. There's not much you can do.
Singed
is pretty easy because he's just going to proxy, and you can just proxy as well. So you can go early Tiamat into him if he's a proxy guy, and he's quite easy to beat up early game as well.
This is our Flash Ignite matchup here, Chippys, or Renekton.
Flash Ignite. I think it is Renekton favored, but I'll put it in skill matchup, not hard, because my Flash Ignite tech makes it playable. But yeah, just keep that in mind. If he takes Ignite and you don't, this matchup's really hard. But if he takes TP, it's quite easy. So I'll just give it a skill matchup. Just make sure as well in this matchup, you're trying not to get your W shield broken by his enhanced W if you can, because then you just get one shot from low HP.
Makes sense. So I assume Darius that would be skill as well then.
Yeah, I'll put it in skill. I think it's similar to Renekton. It's Darius favored at the top level, but I'd say it's a skilly. Ignite as well. Don't pussy out. You need to hold your ground level 1 and fight him back. And he's gonna ghost, so you have to hit your Qs. The Korean advice: you just have to hit your Qs or you're gonna die. But if you do, or if he respects and you get prio, you can get the first recall, and then with item advantage you just win. Rumble's very hard. You have to rush MR in this one. You can go more, or actually full Visage is okay, the more vegan build, but you have to go full MR.
Well, you rush Visage.
You can
rush Visage first.
You can if you're. It depends on your comp. I'm still cooking.
Don't you do no damage?
You do, but that's why it depends on your comp. If you've got like a bunch of damage on your comp, you can. But for our average player, let's say below master, don't go Visage first. Just go more in this one, and then just beat them up. Don't rely on your teammates by building full tank. But yeah, you need an MR item in this one, or he just one shots you. But it takes so long to get that, and the matchup's losing until that point, and he can take phase rush. So it's just a pretty brutal matchup.
Quinn, D-Shield?
Quinn, very hard. Yeah, go D-Shield in this one. These matchups you can't get priority in are really... The range matchups you don't get priority in are really hard. My advice for this one is just make sure you don't take too much damage early game. You kind of want level 4 before you go for your all-in against him. You have to ulti... If you're fighting him 6, you have to ulti early before the kick hits you, because you don't want to get knocked back and then ulti. It's gonna fail anyway. And you want to try buffer Q. So if you buffer Q and R just as she E's you, then you can ghost her down. But the reason it's very hard, the high rank Quinn players will take phase rush, and you can't ghost her down. So you just get kited and poked out.
Mordekaiser's a bit more of a popular lower ranked champion.
I'll put
this a lot in lower elos.
I'll put in skilly now. So it used to be free because you can ulti Mordekaiser's ulti in the past, but now you can't. You have to ulti before he uses R on you. but that's fine. Just make sure you ulti early before any chance or react to it. But the reason it's in skill is if he takes Ignite, he can fight you back. And some mod 1 tricks will go Zhonya's as well. And just Zhonya's, your ulti will expire. And then they can ult you. That makes it really tricky. So, but most mods don't really know how to do that. And even with that tech, you can still play it out if you use your approach velocity to dodge skill shots.
Cho'Gath was like pretty OP at some point this year.
Still,
where would Cho'Gath go?
Still easy.
Meatball?
Very free, yeah.
Easy. TP?
You can take TP, yeah, for sure. And just go Rev Hydra, and then he does literally nothing. And if you find an opportunity to freeze, hit 1Q, pop your ghost, he's just dead.
Set's always an interesting one where I hear people put Set in matchups with champions because Set's obviously, you know, really known as like a sort of a low elo stomp champion, but high elo's this sort of champ sucks.
Yep.
Where would you say Set goes?
I'll say skill matchup, a Set favored skill matchup. Because if he takes Ignite, he can kind of hold his ground and fight you. This is a matchup where that kiting style I talked about is really important. You do not just sit there, yeah, don't trade autos, in and out. Keep getting multiple Qs off and like weaving in autos and E's and stuff like that. You cannot just punch each other. You'll lose to his Ignite. So you need to be more elegant with it.
Malphite?
Malphite's easy. You can see the theme here. A lot of players hate versing champs like Malphite and Neutralizer meatballs, but Olaf does great into them. So definitely a good champ to have in the pool. You can just go Rev Hydra, keep him stuck under tower forever. If you can just ulti his ult, so you don't really die to ganks, which normally happens with Malphite. So, and you just out sustain his poke as well.
So Mundo, Scion, and then Udyr, right? These would all be in the easy, I'm assuming. Or would you bump any of these up?
Bump Mundo up, because Mundo, he can just chill and just farm with cleavers, and it's just kind of annoying. It's just hard to run him down, because he can... If you had a max range Q and he Qs you in the head, even if you pop ulti, it's kind of hard to reach him. So he can just space you, where champs like Malphite and Scion, they can't really do that. And Mundo scales a lot better in side lane as well.
On Maokai, easy?
Yep. Yeah, I'd say easy. Ornn, you can bump up to skilly, actually. Yeah, put Ornn in skill matchup. He's just got a lot more trading tools early game. And he's just a bit tankier. He's just a tanky guy, and so it's just harder to kill him. But yeah, all these matches, when you have Rev Hydra, there's nothing they can do, really. But the early lane against Ornn is a bit tricky.
You just finished a guide in Top Lane Academy for Kayle. Kayle, I'm assuming more harder.
I'll put skill matchup.
Wow.
Just because
Why you say that?
So 1 to 5 is really, really good for you. That's why. And you should be able to get some form of advantage. If you make Kayle base before Swifties, you're winning. If you don't make your base before Swifties, you're losing. But that's up to you. That's up to the Olaf, not the Kayle. So I'll give it a skilly.
And you would, but this could easily go into hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't say hard. I'd say maybe Kayle favored skill matchup, but you're happy to be Olaf here because you can always get a 1 to 5 advantage. You can proxy against her too as well. Olaf's quite good at proxying, so you have a lot of options that way.
Poppy again, another one of the meatball tanky champs.
Put her in skill just because like Ornn, she's a lot of trading capabilities for the early lane. But yes.
Even though she can't cancel your W, and really, you think that's not easy.
Poppy at the top level is a range champion with Q and buckler spacing. It's kind of awkward. It's really hard to hit E on her if she spaces you well. And you know our Q poke, she just Doran Shield second wins the Q poke down. So it's like kind of hard to get a long trade onto her if she plays well. And if you pop, like hit Q and pop Ghost, you can E to a minion behind her and use W to kind of space you out. It's just a bit uncomfortable. But you'd still be happy, for sure. It's not the end of the world.
Urgot,
I'd say easy, to be honest. I think if he takes Phase Rush Ignite, it can be tricky. But I've missed a lot of Urgot 1 tricks, and I've never had any problems in this matchup, because you can ulti his flip. It just makes it too easy. The only scary thing is level 1, so you need to make sure you hit a Q from high range, and use approach velocity to dodge his E. Like pretend to walk towards him, stick your chest out, and like bait him to use the E, and then you dodge at the last second. And then then you can pop Ghost, pick up your axe, and beat him up.
So that's all about just dodging his first E. That's it. That's like
that's it. That's it. Okay. If you dodge it, you win. That's it. If you tank it, you lose.
Interesting. Yeah. Cannon, another D shield.
Very hard. Yeah. D shield. Wow. Yeah. D shield. He gets pro. He'll poke you down forever. He can take phase rush as well if he wants. He doesn't have to, but he can, and that makes it quite annoying. And even though my ulti beats CC, you're just gonna get poked out of lane the whole time, and he can use his E to dodge your Q as well. It's just quite brutal.
So let's do the range champions here.
Yeah.
Aurora, Vayne, Teemo, Nidalee.
I
And Jace.
put all of them in
Where would
very
you put
hard,
these?
except yeah,
Wow.
all of them are very hard to be honest, except Vayne. Surprisingly, Vayne is
What?
very hard after lane, but in lane it's not too bad because you
Okay.
ulti her E, and she has pretty bad sustain. Right, where Teemo with like Swifty Boots and W, it's just like so painful. And Aurora has 2 dashes, Kennen has E. Vayne doesn't really have as much survivability. That's why.
Can't you just run Jace down? Like, what makes Jace very
You would think
hard?
so, but if he uses he can take phase rush for starters. But
I see.
even like a good Jace with grasp, he can if he uses his E well. A good Jace when you chuck your Q, he'll put his E gate up, not for the shock blast, for the movement speed, dodge your Q, and then just chase you down, getting a bunch of autos onto you. It's just quite tricky. And then Nidalee goes without saying. Just insane amount of
Yeah.
poke, mobility, pretty much unwinnable matchup. I'd say if the Nidalee has any form of hands.
Alawi. Bit of, again, lower-elo stomper champion.
Put in skill matchup. This one, you want to try to get a kill 1 to 5 if you can. So I really like to crash wave 3. So be really gentle with the early waves. And then have it come, or, big level 1 trade if she's asking to get ran down, if she's chilling. You crash wave 3, that means wave 4 will go back to the middle, and then you can run her down. So you don't have to wait for the wave to come all the way to your tower. You can just run her down from the center mark and try to get your lead pre-6. Because at level 6, it becomes harder. You just have to bait her to ulti. Like Q, run at her, look scary, and then like dodge her E at the last second. You have to use approach velocity really well in this matchup.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of loyalists will get hit by E very easily
Yeah.
with Alawi. I think that because they just run at you, right? She could just be smart about it. So,
Yeah.
Rough one.
You got to hit your Q,
Skill,
look really scary, and then dodge to the side before you even see her use E, just kind of anticipating it. And then you can, go pick up your axe and keep going.
I forgot Nara in sort of the ranged. I guess he's sort of like hybrid-ish.
I'll put him in hard just because he's weaker 1 to 5 than the champs above him. But yeah, same thing. Swifty Boots level 7 now, really, really painful.
The famous Garen.
Karen will put Skilly. I think people don't like this matchup, but if he takes phase rush, of course he has survivability. But if you get a good freeze and you use ghost and approach velocity, you can stick onto him even through phase rush. It's not the end of the world. And you get prior again. So I think this matchup's fine.
Akali.
Kali's very hard, to be honest. She's a range champ as well, max range queuing. And then at 6, she can just 100 to 0 you with Ignite and Conqueror. And you want to build more in this matchup, but it's pretty hard to get Hexdrinker before she gets 6 and get like a clean reset on there. Because level 5, she just starts to really nuke you, and then she can just W when you ulti and just stand there, you lose your ulti. But yeah, main reason is like insane amounts of poke and can just all in you at 6 with no counterplay. So this matchup's quite painful.
Jax.
Jax is a skilly for sure. Jack's favored skill matchup, but I'd say this one has a lot of skill to it. Exhaust feels okay. You can take Ghost. I'd say the thing about this matchup is you need to bait him to use his E. So if he can use E and fight you without using Q, you'll lose. He'll take a short trade, he'll hop away. But if you can hit your Q, approach velocity towards him, and then snap back last second before he E's, and you make him Q onto you with the stun, then you can just pop ulti and beat his head in. So just make sure you don't overthrow your Q. You need to be really gentle with your Q, and you need to make sure you're not letting him no scope and E onto you. He has to jump, or you're going to lose the trade really hard.
Volibear's picked up a lot of popularity recently in the top lane.
Volibear's hard. I'm close to putting in very hard, but there's only one Volibear guy that makes it very hard, so I'll keep it in hard because he can take phase rush ignite as well, and just kite you out your ulti. And if he just hits you with one trade with like QEW, you're just chunked way too low to play him. And even if you try to ulti and chase him, he can kite you out with the phase rush and then go back in with the bite and ulti, stuff like that. So a really good Volibear play makes this one painful, but I'll just keep it in hard.
Aurelia.
Relia, hard as well. I'd say early game's really easy. My biggest advice for this one, find her level 1. You got to hunt her down to the ends of the earth and get a trade before the minions get low. Because if she has 4 stacks of Q, it's quite tough. But if you find her and get a trade before that point, you're chilling. And then, of course, if you get pro, you get level 2 advantage, level 3, and the first recall. And then with that item advantage, you can beat her.
You don't need the healing reduction for Big Knight with Aurelia. You just go Flash Ghost.
Yeah, go Flash Ghost and dodge her E with Ghost.
Okay. Pantheon top lane.
Pantheon's hard. My advice for this matchup is to be boring early game, be non-interactive. Level 6, he doesn't have an ulti, and he doesn't have a W, right? Because of your ulti. So just keep it boring. Level 1 to 5, just kind of chill. Drop 5 to 10 CS, and then at level 6, you can start to fight him, especially if you give him Prio. You can ego Prio, but you'll get low. So I like to give Prio in this one. It's pretty rare I'll do that. And then try to play out for Tabbies. I actually played this matchup today. And then if you get Tabby's first recall, hit a Q, he's just dead. So be boring until 6 is the number one rule here.
Aatrox.
Aatrox is
interested about this one.
Yeah, Aatrox favored skill matchup. So put in Skilly. Because he can space you if he plays extremely well, but that's the onus is on him. He has to space you extremely well. There's very low room for error. If you get an avenue where you hit Q and you close the gap between his Qs, so he's not hitting you with outer ring, you'll just beat him up. So, and level 1's really hard for him. But if he gets level 5, level 7, and he's even, and he plays his champion well, it can get painful really quickly, because he can just poke you down out of lane.
And Bessa?
And Bess is very hard. Just because very hard for sure. She's got a lot of short trading options, and she has so many dashes that it's really hard to stick onto her.
So she doesn't give you the extended trade.
Nah.
There's no extended trades that you want.
Yeah,
okay.
She can poke you and not take any damage from you, pretty much. And then when you're too low, she can just ult you and kill you. Even if you ulti her ulti, if you're low, you just get bursted.
Yorick seems like you can get extended trades on pretty easily.
Yorick now is just too OP. I think when they finally nerf him, he'll be skilly. But so right now it's hard.
He's hard.
Just because the champ's too overtuned at the moment.
Trinimir, this is your Frozen Heart technology.
Yeah.
Against Trinimir.
Go Frozen Heart first. It feels really good in this matchup. You can even go Exhaust as well to be really annoying. I'll put it in skill matchup, like the upper, just under hard. Because a good Tryndamere will abuse effect, D-shield, second wind, Q healing, and have the lane go for a long time. Olaf hates when the lane goes for a long time, because you just go So that is painful. But if you itemize correctly, and you space him well, and don't take a bunch of free damage, you'll be fine.
Wait, did I just move Vlad out? Vlad was in skill, wasn't he?
No, put him in hard. It's fine.
Oh, Vlad was in hard. Okay, Rengar top.
Rengar, very hard. But there's only like 4 people in the world that can play Rengar, so it's not a big problem. He can also take Phase Rush if he wants. So he can just like burst you, Phase Rush away, burst you, Phase Rush away, and then you get too low to fight him back. And it's really, he can shout your axe as well. So it's really hard to stick onto him. Really hard to get an extended trade, pretty much.
Sars is really a top laner, but I imagine some people like to pick Sars into you because of the R steal.
Not to Olaf, but yeah, I'll just put it in easy. Because him stealing your ulti doesn't do a lot for him. Lilia, not really a top laner. It would be quite hard. Just put it in hard, though. I haven't played in a while. Or just leave it at the bottom. I don't think I've seen that in years. Warwick is very hard as well. This champion's just the best melee blind in the game. The problem with Olaf is you have to get dirty, right? You have to fight people. You cannot just chill, or you just go eventually. But you're not going to get an opportunity to run this guy down. He'll just stand there and kill you. So I'd say this matchup's just pretty difficult if he doesn't do anything dumb.
Okay, here's our list. Are you happy with this, Chippys?
Yes, looking good.
You'll change?
Looking good. One thing, I wouldn't change anything. One note I want to make. A lot of the champions you see in very hard tier, people below, the average player below Masters, doesn't play them very well. How often do you see a great Aurora, Nidalee, Gangplank player? Almost never. So don't let the amount of champions in very hard kind of scare you from Olaf, especially if you think about the average players playing Aatrox or Mordekaiser, Renekton. All those matchups are skill matchups. So he doesn't have as many bad matchups for the average player as it looks here.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like easy mode, like there's not that many, right? So a lot of it's like you got to be good at Olaf. It seems like you really got to. It seems like you're really rewarded for mastery of this champion, which again you don't really see many Olaf sort of one tricks and stuff, right? So I could see again, a common thing I'm getting from this is that Olaf is not easy champion, right? Like a lot of skill goes into it. Like you need a that in and out mindset. You have to switch your narrative. It's like I chase. I got to pick up my axes. This is really interesting. Given so far that what I've learned so far from the way you view Olaf.
Definitely. I think, a lot of people are put off by Olaf because some games you're an S tier unbeatable champ and some games feels very useless. People don't really like that for their main champ. So I recommend having Olaf not just as a counter pick, but like your second or your third best champ. That normally feels quite good.
Great stuff. All right, let's move on to our Emerald player now, Chippys.
All right.
And let's compare your gameplay and knowledge to the Emerald player. So Chippies, this is John Joey, a player I found. It took me a while to find this
Yeah.
Olaf player. There's not many Olaf mains, but this guy's literally an Olaf sort of main one trick. 53% win rate. He did peak at Emerald this season, but he's currently sitting at Plat 3, and he's in Struggle Town. Yeah, Olaf Chippies, right? He's got 11 deaths here, 11, he's dying a lot here. So first things that stand out to you here with build here. We're going to be looking at this Urgot game. What are we thinking here? What do you what is this guy thinking?
Okay, so straight away, he's running into a lot of common Olaf problems, but he's bandaging them the wrong way. So if you go into his runes here, you can see Olaf has horrible mana problems, so his solution is mana flow ban. But really, the solution needs to be presence of mind, because not having approach velocity really cripples you in laning and skirmishing in the long run. So he's getting short-term benefit for having more mana, but he's not getting the most out of his champion here.
I see. Okay. Yeah. So he realizes he has mana problems, and he tries to fix that up with the mana flow. I see.
Yep. And he
does go double adaptive, and he goes,
nice.
The fight healthier. So Korean SoloQ here, we're playing that.
Nice.
But yeah, you already explained the approach velocity is just so important.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So he thinks he's cooking with this Iceborne. He goes Iceborne every game.
Yep.
What's going on here?
So he's facing another problem on Olaf. You don't have mobility, and you want sticking power, right? You want to be able to stick onto them. But Iceborne...
And he probably wants to be tanky.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants to be tanky as well, right?
Yep. Yeah. He doesn't want to get one shot. The problem with Iceborne, the build path is ugly. Like building a Sheen, when Olaf's mainly a spellcaster. Your AD scaling on Q and E is really good. And you saw our E true damage later on. You don't want to be hindering that by buying that, unless it's like... I guess I shouldn't say that. Some days you'll go Frozen Heart or Spirit Visage. But for a first item, it's pretty rare you want to do that. And yeah, spending so much gold on Sheen, which doesn't do much for you, is a bit of a waste. So I would just say he had the right... You can just use Stridebreaker for the same effect. And this game he's playing, Hydra just goes crazy. Urgot's pretty much a melee. So they have 4 melee champions here. He's just going to vamp their whole team. So he's really crippling himself with that build as well. And then you can, if you scroll up a little bit, you can see like a Grasp, because Jax, you lose short trades. He's trying to fix that. Fleet into a ranged champion. He's trying to fix that. So you cannot change your runes out. You need Conqueror, or you do no damage. You have no threat. Even versus a ranged champion, you won't proc Conqueror very often, but when you do, you'll need it. And Fleet is just so nerfed, you don't want to take that. And Grasp as well, which is not a good Olaf rune.
Yeah, so this is just the classic, just drain tank game that we got to be going that build a lot more. It seems. Yeah, I guess sort of what it looks like. It's like there's all these holes in his boat that are leaking, and he's trying to patch one up.
Exactly.
And like they're just constant. Like your boat is just like a what's a good analogy? It just does one thing really good. It's like super fast or something like that. Like I don't know the analogy, but your boat does one thing really good, but he's trying to make like the perfect boat, and it's just too many leaks.
Yeah,
it's just a disaster.
Yeah. He's got to take it in for a full repair, not trying to patch it himself. Because here, he needs to just start over, take the same rune page, go drain tank build into melees, Stridebreaker build into range, and keep it simple and focus on what he's doing wrong in terms of his gameplay, not the build and itemization.
Yeah, the whole champ identity is just wrong. And that probably affects his gameplay, I assume. The way he's building is probably also affecting his gameplay. He's probably thinking he's running in and like being a primary engage, whatever, with Sterax and Iceborne, I assume.
Yep. And another problem too, he's probably running or dying to a gank and like, man, I don't have TP, I get so far behind. So he's taking TP into matchups like Volibear and Urgot, where you need the threat of Ghost to be able to kill these champs. So he keeps plugging his boat. The wrong approach to it. He just needs a fresh boat from scratch. He has to throw it away for sure.
All right, let's take a look at the gameplay, Chippies.
Let's do it.
Okay, so first things first here, Chippies. You talking about a lot about thinking about Olaf as more of like a counter pick champion, S tier. Like, let's talk about team comps this game. Like, is this a great Olaf game?
Yes, this is a really good pick here because he's up against Quadra melees. Urgot, I'll kind of count as a melee because he's so short range. So if you went Hydra, Sundered Sky, Tabby's here, you'd be pretty much unkillable. And Twitch is also immobile. Not quite as easy as like a Varus, but still no gap closer at all. So if you just flash Stridebreaker, like flash Q or something like that, he's just going to die. So yeah, pretty much, apart from Jarvan can be annoying, but because you have flash, you can just get out of there if you need to. So yeah, really good game for Olaf.
On this side of the map, is this a game where you would, so you like to, again, sit in this bush, right?
Yep.
And then walk up. Would you invade and try and kill Poppy on the blue buff this game?
Not this game, because Poppy's pretty strong level 1, and Urgot's really strong level 1. And if he was sitting in a bush and like cheese me, and I had to use my ghost and get chunked or something, my lane's just over. So yeah, not this game. The top and jungle, ideally have to be quite weak champions.
I feel like this is quite stupid to walk into this bush.
Yeah.
Would you agree here, Chippys?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't Urgot just be sitting here and then lose all these HP, walk into an E, like you said in the Urgot matchup? If you get hit by E, it's a disaster.
Yeah, you can get cheese there for sure. That's why it's level 1 fanning spot. If you stand try, they might invade. If you stand where he did, they might invade. So you might as well keep yourself safe in the try bush.
Yeah, because walking back to lane becomes easier, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe he's losing games level 1 like this. This could be a thing as well, right?
We'll see.
I'd love to see him get punished by that. Look at that. He's just walking into all
2
the bushes.
bushes in a while,
just face checking. Crazy.
Very
Do you
thin.
see this often with top laner students? By the way, there's the level 1s just so not autopilot, not thinking.
Not in the TLA, you know, they don't mess around level 1. But,
Of
but
course, yeah.
for the average player for sure, the level 1's undisciplined. Okay, so here.
All right, so dodging E was a big one you
Yeah.
talked about here.
So you have to hit your Q first, approach velocity, and dodge it. Keep in mind he doesn't have approach velocity, so dodging E becomes pretty impossible because you have no gap closer, no movement speed steroid. So it's up to the Urgot to miss it, not you to dodge it, right? Without that rune. So luckily here the Urgot's just kind of chilling. But if Urgot went for it, like walked in front of the wave and just started shooting Olaf here, Olaf wouldn't be able to do anything without approach velocity.
Yeah, I feel like this Urgot's not abusing this as much as he probably could, right?
So yeah, this is good. He got level 2. So use your level up timer,
Okay.
but he's running away. He needs to fight there. Olaf W
Okay.
is just this, you just survive for so long and your lifesteal from low HP. He could have fought that guy there and won with just W alone. He could have fought him back. So it should be fine here. Didn't need a flash. So if we go back, that's the number 1 mistake. Olaf, you get prio a lot. Even if you get poked down while getting prio, you still win the level 2 vs 1 because you have your W. So you need to be really good at low HP baiting. The Urgot actually fell for it. He got level 2 and he had W just as Urgot flipped. I'll back a little bit more before the level 2. Yeah, just now. If he skills W, you can just start fighting the Urgot, drink your potion, you win there, especially with Cookie as well. You'll get Cookie by this point. So he's just not playing to Olaf's identity here. He just took damage and he got scared and flashed away. But you have to be really willing to hold your ground and fight people back.
So what are you trying to do with the wave level 1 here? Are you trying to play for level 2 first and you're queuing the wave? Or like you don't queue the wave to get level 2 first because you want to save mana, you need to queue to hit them?
Yeah.
What's the idea? Because you said you don't do poke queues, right? You like to hold your queue for the extended trade, right?
Sometimes I'll
you
do,
smack it away with auto attacks, holding queue?
Yeah, sometimes I'll do 1 Q poke to do a bit of damage to the wave, but also because you've got base mana. Yeah, because you've got base mana regen. So you're getting a lot of that mana back anyway, but not more than 1. And you can get their bone plating too. So he did well level 1, like the Q. But the thing he didn't do well is if he took approach, he could bait the flip, and he wasted a second Q there as well. And then he didn't use the fact I get prio, I'm going to use my level 2 vs 1. That's like the big thing.
So that second Q, yeah, it was a big one. So yeah, your monster should be the Q to like push waves in faster early game.
Yeah.
It should be to hit them.
Because remember, your Q's your defensive tool. That Urgot actually punished well. Olaf had no Q, and Urgot shot him like 4 times, right? Because he wasn't scared of getting ran down. But then here, yeah, not using the level 2 is just like the big issue here, because Urgot got to do like 400 damage for free. So this is why...
And I guess he's in no position. He's in no position as well, by the way, to really fight this, though, because he overshot his Q, right?
He can actually fight that
Like,
with
how does
W and potion.
You can still fight that with
Yeah,
W
W is
still.
so
Okay,
good, yeah.
so you can still fight that. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Not now, because Urgot spells will come back up, but just as Urgot
Yeah.
flipped him, he could have fought him back. So this is why our Emerald Olaf here takes TP. Because if he had Ghost here, his game would be over. So instead of fixing his early game, he's put that bandage on and taken TP instead. Because now he's actually kind of chilling, right? But it's better for him to play a bit better early game, get early game advantages, instead of, all right, I did something dumb, but I've got my get out of jail free card with TP. So here he's not going to have a timer to run him down. He's got no Ghost, he's got no approach velocity. So, and he can't just fight him in that massive wave. So he's going to have to let the Urgot crash here. Oh, but he's got a jungle. So he'll be chilling. Jungle gap. I think he didn't notice his jungler ganking there. Or he could have played a bit more up.
So just last hit in. He's not queuing the wave.
No,
You happy with this?
This is good. Yep. Every time you're pushing, you should ask yourself, slow push or hard push? And this is a good slow push wave, because it's kind of even and still in the center. So if he hard pushed it, Urgot would just TP back and block the wave. So you want to build like a big stack wave before you crash it most of the time.
So maybe hard push on this next wave. Is that what you'll be thinking?
Well, let's see. 9 minions versus 6. Yeah, you got to hard push this one. There's too many creeps.
So should his mindset have been here, don't Q the Urgot, Q to get the wave in?
You want to do both. Hit the wave and the Urgot same time.
Okay, you want to do both. Okay, that's your goal.
And then you can run at Urgot, take a big trade, because then you're just going to kill the wave anyway in base. So here he had to try to force a big trade where he was hitting the wave and Urgot same time. And then if Urgot fights him back, Urgot will get chunked. Olaf will base anyway. And then he can come back to lane with longsword and fight the half HP Urgot. But you can see because he didn't have that mindset, slow push, hard push, his wave now stuck in a really uncomfortable situation. So it's kind of awkward to get this wave in, because the thing about this spot is if you Q and hit all the minions, your Q will be under tower, so you can't get the wave under anywhere. It's really, it's very, very ugly. So you want to be really decisive.
And Urgot loves this.
Yeah.
Urgot, this is awesome for Urgot.
Yep, you can just poke him down without any, because remember, Olaf needs long trades, but if they're stuck under their tower like this, you can't get a long trade, so you just bleed out slowly. Oh. He wants that cannon minion. Okay, I gotta respect that. So I don't recommend doing that. He would have died if he got hit by flip.
He should have died there, 100%.
It works, it works. You know, we can't complain. But yeah, the reason he was checkmated there, if Urgot was 5% better, was just because of his wave control. He needed to be way more locked in on hard push or slow push, because he was just slow pushing every wave. So now he got a... Oh no, Urgot set. Nice. Okay, good.
So, is mana flow ban... I mean, he's obviously used a lot of Qs here, so maybe he's going to be him here anyway, but, you know, the mana issues here obviously really show in, you know, mana flow ban...
Yeah, that's not enough.
Versus Presence Mind, it's just not enough.
Yeah, Presence and mana is similar, but yeah, with Presence, you have Approach and Cookies, which means you can fight more early, and then you can get yourself better recalls, right? That's how you get your mana back, by good back timers.
I think he was looking for the plant.
Yeah, but it's not up yet. It has to be at least 6 minutes. It's a bit too early. So Sheen, yeah.
He's the Sheen.
Sheen, you really want tabbies in this matchup. There, if he had 900, he should have gone just double longsword, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're playing it slow. So here is again, slow push this wave. Let's see, what is next wave? Normal. And then hard push this one. He should chuck a Q. The Q will, 2 Qs will one-shot the caster minions now. That was a really good Q if I hit Urgot. And then he goes and picks it up. If Urgot fights him, he can just use ulti on the Urgot flip and kill him. So yeah, here, he's just too passive on his hard push. He need to be way more clear. I'm going to get this wave in. If you try to flip me, I'm just going to ult your flip and beat you up. Actually, maybe with Sheen...
I reckon sort of what I'm saying here is that he's never seen or felt or know the capabilities of Olaf. He doesn't build damage items. He, you know, that level 2 trade, he probably hasn't tried to kill someone, you know, level 2 with the W or whatever. It feels like this guy, this is so... It's like we're playing 10% of a champion. Right?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have the issue as well. They'll lose lane to a champ and then play really safe against them the next time. That could be the case here.
Okay. There's good space in here.
Let's see. So he hits the Q. Picks it up. Nice. Yeah, that was really nice. Damn, he doesn't need approach velocity. He's just got the movement. But you can see he just doesn't do damage because he has Sheen. With 2 longswords, that'd be a more high chance of a kill as well. And to be honest, I don't want to complain because he's spaced well, but he doesn't need a space. He can just tank the E with his ulti, and then he doesn't have to be so far away from the Urgot. He could have just hit him the whole time and just tanked the E with ulti there. That spacing he did was perfect if it was level 1 to 5. But level 6, just tank it and just keep hitting him.
So we're starting to get into the behind territory now here.
Yeah.
Chippys. You said that as Olaf, behind, very bad. You get very punished behind because you have no damage and, you know, you have no utility. So from this point, like, would you recommend him? I mean, we have like sort of the end of review process we have in our top lane academy. Like, does he just need to focus on the lane phase? Like, he shouldn't be looking to pass this point if he's not winning the lane like that.
Exactly, yeah. If this was a review, it would be done by now. After this point, he'd need to fix, you know, itemization, runes, and the way his early game plan was just flawed. He just played it way too passive and missed opportunities. Olaf is probably one of the hardest champs to play from behind because you can't have the lane go for too long. But if you're not strong enough to kill somebody, you can't really get yourself a recall, and you don't take TP often, so you just bleed out. I mean, he's got TP, but he's going to bleed out anyway. So yeah, definitely, if you're playing Urgot and working on it, you need to review why you're getting behind. Not, okay, what could I have done here now that I've been killed twice? You need to fix the problem first.
What about this roam here, Chippys? He's pushed the wave, and then now he's looking. No ult. Wait, where is it? No ult and no flash or ghost.
So
Is that, are we looking to roam here?
I like
This
the
is good
initial
roam?
move because he's warding void grubs as well. So
Yep.
it's just like a opportunity. You're walking, you're warding grubs, really nice. And then if Silas is playing aggressive, you can gank him. To be honest, I like this. It's like he's not losing anything top anyway. So this is an okay look. If the Silas played a bit more passive, he could have chilled. And like he did get the kill. It's because the Silas fought him back and he wouldn't have lost much top anyway. He had to play respectful. The thing is he couldn't have walked up to the wave anyway. Urgot could have killed him. So that was a fine time at a roam.
Good roam.
Don't look for those that often on Olaf. Like ganks mid-level 6, pretty rare. But if you're going to go ward and you see a good opportunity mid, it is fine. Okay, guys.
Well, it's still good to see that we see the still caps coming out here. Tabis, right? That's again what you said. You're really valuable in this matchup, but
Nice.
you know, ideally it's like, you know, your first base or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's nice. He got it as soon as he could afford it in like one swoop.
That's right.
I like that he didn't do boots cloth. I mean, I'd rather boots cloth than a sheen, but I like that he wasn't, you know, boots clothing it. Okay, nice. Good ulti. Nice.
Wow.
Yes, this matchup's, yeah, that's why I put this one in easy.
This is the power
Yeah,
of
the
Olaf.
power.
So, yeah, this is the power of Olaf. So imagine how easy this game would be if we didn't have that, you know, that atrocious lane phase. I mean, we're literally behind, and I guess that's where still caps. And Urgot also dips very hard from levels like 5 to 9, right? So he's very weak.
Yeah, until Cleaver.
Olaf, this is so easy. Yeah, it makes sense. You just raiding this guy down level 6.
He wasted 900 gold and he's buying, he's still 1v2 them. Because like the tabbies is a big part of it. Olaf's base damage is really high because you just keep getting multiple rotations of spells off if you don't get one shot. So yeah, tabby's really good buy from him. He got a bit greedy after, he didn't keep track of TP. Alright, now we get to see the power of Iceborne.
Yeah, power of Iceborne.
Let's see it.
So in terms of your ward, by the way, so you really like Sweeper.
Yeah.
You switched out to Blue Trinket level 9 this game.
Yeah.
Is that because you're still laning here? You would do Blue Trinket here?
Yeah, Blue Trinket on this buy, Sweeper on the next buy, because you're still laning. So you just dump your Blue Trinket between Gromp and Blue, and then you get a,
like here?
Yeah, like between Gromp and Blue, like the halfway point.
Ah, like this?
No, over the wall. Yeah.
Ah, like here?
Yeah, so a bit more out so it shows Blue and Gromp. But yeah, pretty much there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like there.
Yeah, kind of close enough. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, good enough.
You want to see Blue and Gromp?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean a bit more out, like
this eventually, the game where you're doing Gromp and some top lane awards over the wall and spots you, it's normally around there. Yeah, like that spot. Okay, here we go. Iceborne time.
Can we 1v2? Here we go.
Yeah, this is winning. It'll be a win for sure. Yeah.
Level 6 Jarvan, useless champion.
So 5 kills. Yeah, he can carry this game now. He's at the Iceborne gap. Okay. Yeah, so you can see these types of matchups where they rely on CC, right? Urgot relies on his E and his ulti. Olaf ulti also, you can't get pulled by Urgot ulti as well. So these champs that are like their whole kit are tied into CC abilities. Olaf just loves versing them. Okay, that's fine. I'm glad he didn't chase it.
Is this where you would freeze? So is this where you said that you'd be looking to maybe freeze? You don't like freezing in the early game, but freezing like in the mid game. You said level 7 onwards.
Not here though. It's too late. 14.
Not here.
Yeah,
okay, it's too late.
Now you just proxy and run around. His proxy might be hard though because he doesn't have much AD. His Q should be one-shotting the wave now, and he should have a Tiamat item as well. He should have Rev Hydra.
So this is why this build's flawed. You can't proxy, you can't push waves fast enough. Is that a big part of this reason why you don't like this build either?
Yeah, you just don't do much. You don't have much threat as well compared to Rev Hydra. I mean, he has been 1v2ing, so I can't slack it too hard. But Rev Hydra, especially when you get a second or a third item with it, you can just out-sustain all their damage this game. Okay, so what you can do as well in Olaf, you can walk up and hit the tower, and if they Shen taunt you or Urgot flip you, you can just ult it and just finish off the tower, and then you E them just before your ulti expires to keep it going. So that's what he should do here.
So that's what we could do here.
Yeah. He should just go.
And he's not going to die.
Yeah.
Like look at this guy.
Yeah, he's not going to
do
die.
Negative damage.
Yeah, so you can just.
He's got a bramble.
He can just hit the tower here and ulti the flip. Okay, so we got Rift Herald. I do like he's going Sundered Sky second though into 4 melee champs. That is good. So that's the Q I'm talking about. This is losing.
Is this the Q into R?
Yeah.
So you miss the Q, you shouldn't R.
Yep, miss the Q, run away. Your Q is everything. If you miss the Q, just the play's done.
Because look at this, we can't pick it up.
Exactly.
Look at this, look at that Q cooldown. Yeah. We do negative damage.
So Urgot's just walking away. The Iceborne's not enough.
I love how we're seeing exactly what you said.
Mm.
These are the common mistakes we make, and here it
Yeah,
is,
here it
right?
is. Okay, let's see. So can you go objective timers? The little eyeball bottom left? Yeah. So dragon 2 minutes 20.
Dragon.
Okay, so that means we'll go top. We'll push in the Urgot under tower, suffocate him a little bit, and then rock up to dragon and carry. That's sort of the mindset here. So he's in the right lane. Good lane assignments. He should have a sweeper as well, because he wants to go fight a dragon, right?
I see, and get flanks off and stuff.
Yep. He has a 12 kill Vayne as well, so this game's really, really free. So this is a result of his previous mistake. He's missed out on a good fight that Olaf loves because he died before. But there was no...
Because he had to come top and push the wave, you're saying?
Yeah, because he died. Yeah, he's down in tempo. But, so that's why, you know, his Vayne gave a 1k shutdown and stuff. That's... You could take that as your responsibility, because if you just missed your Q, chilled, got your recall off, pushed in top, and then we're at this fight early, your Vayne probably wouldn't have died and given 1k over. So that's like a good learning for this guy. For old John.
Yeah, typically you say don't hit tier 2 towers, but is this a good adaptation, knowing that he couldn't make that fight anyway?
Yep, it's a good adaptation. I feel like he was going top 2, killed the tower, so I'm not going to give him full credit.
Yeah, exactly right.
But,
exactly right.
Yeah, it was a good adaptation for sure. So he should just run away. Like, he doesn't know who's there. So yeah, he lost his ulti here. He's just fighting.
And you're saying he lost his ult because John here needs to have his ult for Dragonfire.
Exactly.
Is that why? Like, this is pointless. Even if you kill them, there's no tower here. This is a low value ult.
Yeah, and it's a low chance play. Because remember the game we were watching? I was really aware of my team. Okay, Echo's not here. Please come, please come. And I'm waiting. He's not thinking along that line. He's trying to do stuff by himself. But Olaf's not engaged. You're not like cheesing somebody from a bush and one-shotting them, right? Something like that. It's like when you're committed, you're committed. So you don't want to do a one, any crazy 1v3 like that.
And look at this.
Exactly. Result of
the game's just exploding.
Yep.
It's just the game's exploding. It could have been so simple. Exactly following the Chippys principles. Push wave, move. Let's go. Let's get to the objective. Why are we fighting here when there's no objective up?
Yep.
And again, engaging. You're engaging. Play the secondary engage. Get sweeper.
Yep. And he had a good starting point. Even though his 1 to 4 was weak, he got like 5 kills. He got his tower. But he's just playing, I want to win the game through side lane and just kill whoever's on my screen. He's not trying to bring his character to an objective while he's Thanos in this game and carry the fight. He is just, I want to kill towers. If there's a champion in my way, I'm going to kill him as well. Which is actually a common default for a lot of top laners.
So we are picking up Qs, but we are missing some Qs.
Yeah, and the damage is just so low. Imagine Rev Hydra here, he'd be full HP.
Negative damage.
Yeah, he'd be full.
We'll be fine here, right?
Yeah, especially if you fight in the wave. Yeah, and if you fight in the wave with Rev Hydra, you just heal to full. So,
because of the Tiamat thing and proc and stuff like that. I see. So yeah, this is the floor of the build.
Yeah.
We're seeing it right now.
Yeah,
right?
and one item.
We should never be losing Silas 1v1. Right? Didn't you put easy? Silas was easy,
never,
right?
never. So that's why, Rev Hydra, like the Iceborne as a first item, it's not the worst thing ever. But as a second item now, he's just very weak, despite having so much gold. He has 2.5 items, but he's weak. That's the problem with this build. Okay, so they gave Artican for that mistake too. So you can just see in the span of like 3 minutes, the 3 mistakes he made, his teammates got aced twice, he died twice, and he lost Artican and Dragon. So really big mistakes trying to overplay through side. So his teammates have come to him now because they're sick of him getting killed. But it's not going to work out. He doesn't have Ghost or Approach Velocity too, so it's kind of hard to get onto people. Even he's not going to be able to reach the Twitch. See, no Approach Velocity. With Approach, he could have killed him.
I see. Yeah.
More or less. Okay. So next objective is Dragon. So push in top, rock up to Dragon. Let's see that. His Vayne's still strong though. Yeah, so one more chance. This game has one more chance and then it's slipped away. Because that's, like I said, when champs give 3-4 items, that's when you're not just the king anymore, right? On Olaf. Unless you're still accelerated from making good plays before. So here he has to push in top. He can do one more wave.
So you should be moving now.
Yeah, he should just fog down.
Wave.
You're not going to hit the TF3. He can start walking now.
Yeah.
I can't see the rest of the map, but if it looks okay, he can start moving now. Like, you can see his mindset. He's playing like he's Yorick, right? But Olaf, you can't play like Yorick. You have to get a lot of work done in the early game.
This is a big no.
Yeah.
Dragon's up in a minute here again. We can sort of see it again. It's just the split push mindset, right?
Yeah. This will probably be the biggest issue for his gameplay because he's got like 300 Olaf games. Even though he could have done better in the lane, He still killed the Zergot a bunch. He's still got the tower, right? So the main issue for this guy is probably going to be his mid game. So he probably gets fed off. That could be another reason he takes TP. My team keeps fighting without me, but that's just because he's not looking to be at the fight before it begins.
Yeah, and then he got rocked up too late here, so he just has little control of this fight.
Exactly.
And
see, look how strong he is still. I mean, if he had a better item, he's still strong, but he's just at these fights really late. That's the problem.
All right. So really good. Love the comparison here, Chippys. Makes a lot of sense. You know, we're not scratching our head here, you know, wondering why, you know, what's going wrong. Literally, we're seeing it, you know, frame by frame, the mistakes compared to your gameplay here, Chippys, and everything we learned from this episode so far.
Perfect. Yeah. I really like that the main topics, the common mistakes I see, our good friend John here showed a lot of them, and it cost him a free win. How often do you have a 20 kill Vayne with 4 items at like 15 minutes? Like never. So these are the games you don't want to be losing.
Okay, so Chippys, to finish off some questions for you. First one here. Someone watching this, they're super inspired. They're like, wow, I didn't realize how awesome of a champ Olaf is. It's actually way harder, more nuanced than I thought, because my friends always flame me for playing this champion because it's like, oh, you're just playing a dumb champion, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I got Chippys now to back me up. What are the three tips you'd give to a Olaf player that's just going to be picking it up? It's like, okay, there's a lot of information here. What are 3 actionable things I should be focusing on?
Number 1 will be axe management. So not just tossing it randomly in lane, burning your mana, making sure you throw it in a deliberate place. Like, I'm not just queuing to hit a champion. I want my axe here so I can pick it up while hitting the champion at the same time. So review your axe management, number 1. Number 2 would be what we've been seeing here. Make sure you're involved in the game. Dragon's up in a minute. I really want to be here. Rock up while you're this 1 to 2 item Viking versus like a Quick Blades, Tristana, or just Lost Chapter mid, you know, weakling champs. You want to be making sure you're fighting as much as you can early game. And then number 3, it would be reviewing those fights. Because you win through fighting on this champion, you have to fight well. So pick your moments. Make sure you're observing the fight slowly. It's not, oh no, my AD carry got hit. I'm going to blow Ghost, Flash, ulti, everything, going straight away. Play it very patiently, kind of play on the outskirts of the fight, and pick your moment to go in when you think it looks best.
And you said a lot about the mindset of don't be an engaged champion, be the secondary engage, come and clean up, get that sweeper, flank. I think that will really help because I feel like cause all the Olafs that I review, even jungle Olafs that I see, they just have this mindset. I run at people. I run chase down the range champion. But you're saying, you know, you're just not going to get success with Olaf that way, especially when you have no summoner spells and no ult.
Definitely, yeah.
And in terms of, you know, you've played Olaf for many, many, many years, Chippys, so maybe you can't even remember sort of your early days with Olaf, but do you have like an aha moment in your learning journey where it sort of like clicked? It's like, okay, I understand Olaf now. Well, you just like born to be an Olaf player. You're just naturally talented. Like it just clicked with you day one.
I was born to play Olaf, but I'd say the biggest click was your Q and your ulti, your ghost. Like all these spells are connected, like the fishing hook. You hit your Q and then you go in. It's not ghost, run at someone, Q, they flash it, you're picking up your, you know, nothing like that. It's all connected. So your axe is your offensive tool, your defensive. It combos with all your spells. It's not like I toss my Q for a bit of poke, or it's not like I want to kill this guy ghost time. It's all connected. Everything's centered around your Q.
Awesome. All right, Chippys. That wraps up our episode today. Final shout outs. You coach 5 times a week in the Top Lane Academy. There'll be a link to join in the description below. Any other shout outs? You want to shout out any TLA members? Anything you want to finish off this episode? Obviously, you have a YouTube channel. Go follow you on YouTube. Also, your link will be tagged in the YouTube. You make educational top lane content.
Yep, got some good Olaf videos there. So I'll just shout out a lot of our TLA students have been playing Olaf recently. So hopefully this video inspires a bit more and we take over all those Riven players that have come from Alois.
Love it. We'll see you guys on next episode.
See ya.